NBC Sports welcomes you to Memphis, Tennessee for the opener of a weekend doubleheader of NASCAR short track racing. Today it's 250 laps for the NASCAR Busch Series on the 3/4 mile Memphis Motorsports Park. Hi, welcome to NBC's coverage of NASCAR. Alan Bestwick here with Wally Dallenbach. A doubleheader for you. If you like your racing with bent fenders and hot tempers, we got some races for you today and tomorrow.
Yeah, you got Memphis and Martinsville, and like you said, I mean, it gets hot inside the cars. The brakes get hot. The drivers get hot as far as tempers go. A lot of beating and banging in this short track racing.
Now, as you can see, it is raining here in Memphis. The start of today's race will not be any time in the near future. This weather system that drenched your home down in the San Antonio area, Wally, has kind of creeped in on this track. We're hopeful of getting it started today, but it's going to be a little while.
Hopefully, that's a big word.
Hopeful's a big word right now. Now, while we wait out the rain, let's talk about the big story of the week in NASCAR racing, the upset victory last Sunday at Charlotte by Jamie McMurray. He'll do it! 26-year-old Jamie McMurray pulls off the victory in just his second NASCAR Winston Cup start. Unbelievable! McMurray withstood the pressure from former champion Bobby Labonte with that stunning win last Sunday, but instead of taking that momentum to the Winston Cup race at Martinsville, he's here in the Busch Series race at Memphis. Why? Glenn Jarrett's with him to find out.
Alan, I like that. Memphis, Martinsville, and McMurray. Those are three hot commodities. Perhaps the hottest is Jamie McMurray. Wow, what a great day you had last Sunday. This had to have been one heck of a week in your life.
Well, most certainly, just overwhelmed by all of the media and the radio station I had to call and newspapers and just the fans. It's amazing how many people have recognized me this week. Even the airport security guard asked me when I went through. He said, "Do you have any laptop, medal in your pockets?" And he said, "By the way, congratulations last week." So that's it's pretty cool. I still really excited.
Jamie, at what point in the race, I know there was a lot of conversation between you and Lee McCall, the crew chief there for a while, as to how you were driving the car, the progress you were making, and then I know you got more and more comfortable in the car, but at what point did you really feel like that, hey man, I can win this thing, I can beat these guys?
Really, once I came out ahead of the 18 car after our green flag stop, I was really worried about getting in the pits quick enough and not speeding on pit road, and then the guys on the Coors Light team just did a great pit stop. We came out ahead of the 18, and I felt like, if I could stay ahead of him, especially through all the lap traffic, that, I had a shot to win. And, I was quite a bit faster than guys throughout the day, and I would catch him and get so tight behind him I couldn't pass him, and I knew that he was probably struggling a little bit with that, being behind me.
Well, now let's get to the really important stuff here. Now, I know you've got to deal with Ganassi for next year, and I know you already signed commissions and things like that. Man, did they pay you enough for what you did? Have you bought something good yet?
This is going to sound wrong, but just the opportunity was worth it to me. And, I said in the press conference, Chip and Felix gave me an opportunity to do something I've always dreamed of. And to win it in my second race is just incredible, and just a great opportunity. And you hear people say it, but the money was really irrelevant at that time, and just excited for the opportunity they gave me.
Well, you made the most of it, that's for certain. Now, what about this week here at Memphis? You struggled a little bit in qualifying. You had to use a provisional. You start 37th. Is the car any better after happy hour yesterday, Jamie?
Well, it is. We brought the same car. We ran second with Earnhardt Jr. at Richmond, and I love this racetrack, but we missed it. From the time we unloaded, we were quite a ways off, and happy hour was a little bit better, but still have a little bit of work to do. But that's kind of what makes, that's why I like the sport so much. Is you're never the best always. I mean, we went from winning a race last week in the Cup Series to using a provisional in the Busch Series the very next week. So very humbling sport, and I'm still smiling from last week, but at the same time, everybody on the Williams team and tell you that it's very frustrated yesterday.
Well, you also have to be very excited about the possibilities that lie ahead of you for next year. You've seen the success that the rookies have had this year with Ryan Newman coming in, Jimmy Johnson winning races, and you've already won one. You got to feel like that, hey, I can compete on that level. I can't wait to get there.
Well, very excited, and everybody asked me if I was going to be able to do what Ryan and Jimmy had were doing this year, and we're not going to base our season off of what those guys have done. We're just going to, as a team, going to give 100%. As a driver, I'm going to give 100%. And at the end of each race, as long as we can say we did that, we're all going to be happy. But it is pretty exciting to know that we've already won a race, and that you're with a team and an organization, like Ganassi and with Felix for next year going in. Just really excited.
Well, thanks, Jamie, for spending time with us, and congratulations once again from all of us at NBC. Alan, I think this guy has a great, great future ahead of him, and I'm going to send him upstairs in a little while to talk to you guys.
Yeah, that'd be great. We're going to look at some of the last laps of last week's race and Jamie's going to join Wally and I, and we'll get his thoughts as he watches himself pace through those final laps. What a tough week, though. Here's a kid that wins that race, and yet he's contractually obligated to be here in Memphis. I'm sure he'd love to be in Martinsville for the Winston Cup race tomorrow, but he stood up for his obligations.
Well, yeah, these guys have commitments to their owners and their sponsors and everything here in the Busch Series. So I'm sure he's thinking about Martinsville. There's no question about it. But he's got a job to do, and he needs to finish it here in the Busch Series. So he's got a lot of racing ahead of him in the Winston Cup Series. So he doesn't need to be in a big hurry.
Now, if he's going to be in a big hurry when we get this race going to fight his way from 37th to the front, he'll have to do it through some pretty heavy action. Check out the finish here of last year's race, just as an idea of what to expect when we do get this thing going. As they're coming around to the white flag, Randy LaJoie is running third, behind Jay Sauter in the 43, the red and white and blue car, and Jeff Green in the yellow number 10. Yeah. They get together.
These guys are so busy having a conversation in turn 3 and 4. Randy LaJoie slipped through for the win. So man, he had to figure that way. He'll tell you that.
With the fenders.
Yeah.
And LaJoie ended up picking up his 15th career NASCAR Busch Series victory. Now, that was Memphis 1 year ago. LaJoie's back to defend his title. Ralph Shaheen's with him.
Well, Alan, I'm not really sure he had it figured out that way, but we can find out. We can ask the former national champion here. Did you actually have it figured out that you were going to win that race last year that very way?
No. When the 43 and the 10 car got by me, every race car driver figures they could take each other out. And by George, they did. And we were close enough that we got underneath both of them and coming for the white flag and got the checker flag. It was a good day for us. And then to go get stuck in the mud, that wasn't a good day, but there was 42 other guys that wanted to get stuck in the mud.
Yeah, that was not one of your best efforts at donuts, was it?
No, I think I started at donuts back in '96, and I think I might have ended mine donuts in the grass. I'll just go to victory lane from now on.
We hear a lot of times the drivers will say, I saw that coming. Was that a situation where laps prior to that you had an inkling that maybe that was going to develop?
Well, you got Jay Sauter, who's never won a Busch Series race, and Jeff Green, who wants to win all the Busch Series races whenever he's in them, and they didn't give a whole lot, so it worked out good for me. I just added one to my total. It was a good day for the Kleenex Kroger car, that's for sure.
Rain delays are always challenging to try to figure out how you're going to entertain yourself. Have you found that now that you're up in the big leagues of professional stock car racing, up a nice big hauler, you got a bus outside, is it easier to entertain yourself now, or is it more fun when you were younger, working your way up the ladder?
I used to go to race the champions with my dad at Pocono, and that used to be a good time in the rain because it always rained at Pocono, and boy, we had some of the best quarter pitching days you ever wanted to see. I learned how to do this, pitch a quarter every now and again, and I pass it on. We used to do it at the junkyard for Christmas parties, and I've never seen you get 75 racers in a garage stall with quarters in their hands, and sometimes fights broke out, but that happened on short tracks, and any time now, my bus is not here, or coach, whatever you call it. If I don't drive it, nobody drives it, and I enjoy driving it. They call it a Hans store. When the kids are in it, they got to wear a Hans device. But it just plain stinks when it rains out. There's nothing you can do besides go shopping. You guys want to go to Kroger, buy some good groceries and some Kleenexes and try to dry this stuff up, because I don't think we're going to race today.
Now, was there a technique to this quarter thing here? Do you want to show me? Was it overhand, underhand? What do you do?
Overhand is when somebody had a leaner. You had to throw it overhand. And then you had to flip it. There's guys that roll it. There's all different techniques. And
is there a LaJoie technique?
No, just win. That was all, just win.
Just win. That's it. What about leaners?
Oh, leaners is a deal. You get a leaner, you pick up.
Really?
Oh, leaners tops.
Okay. Was there anybody in this garage or anything to be any good at it?
Oh, I'm sure there's some. We could probably get a quarter pitching division here, and pretty darn good. They'll probably ship us down to Tunica, though, and go gambling at Samstown.
All right. Well, Alan, this is the man if they're going to pitch quarters later on today, but he might be the guy when they finally throw the green flag. He won here last year, as you said, and he's going to start third when they do finally toss the green.
That green flag will be a little while in coming, though. As you can see, the wet weather continues to pound down here at Memphis Motorsports Park, and the Samstown 250 is under a rain delay. It won't start for at least 90 minutes or so. Now, we're going to have more from here in Memphis in a couple of minutes, including why Wally's feeling a little bit poorer this weekend and what some here are trying to do to compensate for that. But first, when we come back, we're going to go to Martinsville. Bill Weber's going to have an update on what happened with Winston Cup final practice today and set the stage for tomorrow's Old Dominion 500. You're watching NASCAR on NBC. Still raining here in Memphis as we try to bring you the NASCAR Busch Series 250 lapper at Memphis Motorsports Park. Smartest people in the house today inside the suite. 5 races to go in the NASCAR Busch Series season. The championship looks like this. Greg Biffle leading Jason Keller by 168 points. That is more than Keller can gain in a single race. So no matter what happens in this race, Greg Biffle will still lead as the championship leader. Our look at those standings brought to you by AC Delco. Greg Biffle has that advantage as a result of some pretty masterful driving in some difficult conditions last weekend at Charlotte. Check out the windshield.
Yeah, you can see where he got a lot of oil on that windshield, and that's difficult at Charlotte with that sun over the grandstands running 175, 180 mile an hour. I don't know how he could see out of it.
Wound up getting a nice finish out of it, though, and he's down in the garage area right now, waiting to talk about his championship bid with Glenn Jarrett.
Well, thanks, guys. Let's find out exactly how he did do that. Greg, we just showed some footage from last week at the end of the race. I guess the last 40 laps or so when your windshield pretty much covered with oil. That had to be tough. How did you see?
It was frustrating. I didn't see. I looked out mainly drove looking out the side windows, you know, the one in the left front corner there and the right, trying to see the wall coming up, but it was difficult. I also saw some flashes of the sunlight off the guys' back windows up further up the racetrack, and I could kind of tell where they were coming off the corner, and I tried to position my tires in the same tire tracks as theirs. But I just had to slow down and run 3/4 speed to be able to not, wreck the car, because I couldn't tell the orientation if I was getting sideways coming off the corner or anything. And then when I came in for a pit stop, of course, I wasn't thinking about a chassis adjustment. Just put tires on it. I could get the windshield where I could drive again. And then the car was so loose I couldn't drive it. So it was double frustrating that I didn't get a chance to even think about adjusting on the chassis because I couldn't see where I was going. But it didn't start out that way. It was, windshield wasn't that great after the second pit stop, and we didn't get the tear off then. And then I got behind a car that got a bunch of oil on there. And before I realized it, it was pretty covered, and then all the dust and debris out there floating around stuck to it, and I was in real trouble.
Well, looking back, what would you have done differently in that situation?
Well, looking back, if I known it was going to stay green the rest of the way, I'd have came in earlier, made a green flag stop, and pull that tear-off off, or would have made sure that the tear-off got off the lap before or the stop before, because if I'd have got the tear-off off then and it got a little bit of oil on the window, I probably wouldn't have blocked the whole thing. I would have been okay, but it was a bad situation, got worse in a hurry when we got that oil on there. But, we survived it, got 6th, and, we got to be happy with that.
You also have to be happy about the way things have gone so far this weekend at Memphis. You've got the pole. You had a good car in happy hour yesterday. I think you were like second quickest. It wasn't that much difference between you and Jason Keller for the fastest car here. You've won here in the past in the Truck Series. Got to feel good about tomorrow. But the question I want to ask you is, what if it comes down to a race between you and Jason Keller? That puts a little more pressure on you, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And Jason's always fun to race with. He's one of the best competitors in this series, and that's probably why he's second in points and had led for a while this season. He's just a great guy to race with. It's fun to race with him, and I hope it comes down between us, because we battle really well together, race side by side, but you got to take a little extra caution when you're racing a guy second in points like that. You don't want to make a mistake when you're up there racing with him, but hopefully it'll come down to that. We parked our car early in happy hour yesterday. I only did that one other time this season. That was Dover, and I won. So hopefully that's a sign that we've got a good car. We tested here just a couple weeks ago in cool conditions like this with no rubber on the track. So hopefully this will play into our favor tomorrow or this afternoon if this rain gets out of here. But hopefully it'll be between the two of us battling for the finish.
Well, thanks, Greg. Appreciate you spending time with us. And, guys, just for the record, that car that he parked early is the very same car that he won with at Dover the last time he parked it early. Let's go now to Ralph Shaheen. He is with the second-place guy in the points, Jason Keller. Things haven't been so good for him lately, Ralph.
No, they haven't, Glenn. 2 races ago at Kansas, they were only separated by 35 points, and then the engine let go. And then last week, Jason picked up a couple of bonus points when they stretched their fuel economy to get him some good track position. However, that cost him in the end when they stretched the fuel just a little bit too far. And now 168 points, Jason, separate you from Greg Biffle. Is that an insurmountable gap?
I don't know, Ralph. I don't think it is. I think we've still got time, but we've put the ball in Greg's court. He's going to have to make some mistakes for us to catch up, but we should get back on track. And I've got this awesome shirt here. I want to show everybody. After the bad couple of weeks, my kids made me this cool shirt. So pretty proud of that. I'm going to get back on track here. When this rain lets up, we're going to, we got a pretty good car here, so we'll be okay.
Now, that's not the first time your kids, Jade and Joe, have done that for you, is it?
No, it's not. They did it Dover last year, and I finished second. So if we can have a good top 5 run here, the shirt will do what it needs to do. But just waiting to get going. Qualifying wasn't great for us, but happy hour was great. I did win that, so pretty excited about whenever this race gets going.
Now, but let me see this again. You're actually going to wear this under your fire suit when we actually go racing?
I definitely am. My kids they're pretty awesome. They thought about me. They could tell I wasn't really my normal self the last couple of days, so they got me a little pick-me-up.
I can see just from when you brought that out and showed it to me the first time, just what that did to you, energized you from the inside out when you first saw that. Can you try to put into words what that does to you as a driver, as a competitor, as an athlete now?
Well, it's pretty awesome. No matter win, lose, or draw, they're going to be there cheering for you, and have something like this to remind you that things are not all bad. So just got 2 wonderful kids and a great wife, so I'm very blessed.
All right, now with all that, how do you go about pressuring Greg? How do you turn that into a positive behind the wheel?
All we can do is try to beat him. I mean, he's going to have to make a mistake for us to gain the number of points that we're behind for the rest of the year. But maybe if we beat him a couple of times here down the stretch, maybe that'll force him to make a mistake. Maybe not. We can't control that. We have to worry about the things we can control, and that's the Albertsons Ford. And if we start making mistakes like we have over the last couple of weeks, then we get ourselves out of the game. So we just need to regroup. We did yesterday in happy hour. Like I say, my car was great in happy hour yesterday, so got a little ways to come, starting 14th. But I'm excited. We've done a lot of great things this year, but still some work left to be done.
Well, Alan, win or lose this race and this championship, one thing is for sure, he's got a great T-shirt. It's even Tommy Hilfiger. Boy, they got good taste, your kids. He'll start 14th.
Kids do good, don't they?
You had kind of a tough Saturday last Saturday. What have your kids done to pick you up this week?
Nothing.
Oh.
I don't care.
Oh, okay. All right, still raining here in Memphis. When we come back, we'll talk to a guy scheduled to run both races here in Memphis and Martinsville. What's on his mind while he watches it rain today? Kenny Wallace when we come back in a minute. Log on to NBCSports.com for Wally Dallenbach's interactive preview of tomorrow's Winston Cup race at Martinsville. See who he's picking to win. Plus, you can email BP your NASCAR questions and check out his latest mailbag. That's at NBCSports.com. Tomorrow, Old Navy presents the Old Dominion 500. NASCAR Winston Cup Racing's final short track event of the season. See it at noon Eastern Time here on NBC. Now, one driver who is supposed to be in tomorrow's race, as well as the race here in Memphis today, which may end up being run tomorrow, follow me with this now, is Kenny Wallace. Think he's a little nervous right now? Let's find out.
Yeah, that's a little tricky trying to figure all that out as far as logistics for you this weekend, Kenny. With the weather, what do you do now? You're supposed to be racing in Martinsville, and if I remember correctly, you dealt with this last year, too.
We did. It seems like it's the same year, deja vu. But no, I'm just really loyal to George Debitar, my car owner. Everybody knows that next year I'm going to be going on over to Bill Davis Racing. We just tried getting a head start this year by running, some races with the Winston Cup car. But, 6th in the points right now, like 130 out of 3rd. We haven't had the year we've wanted. But it's a great team, so my loyalty stays right here, and I'll be rooting Jeff Bodine on if they race tomorrow.
Now, he was going to actually get the car all set up for you and everything over there. Have you been back and forth on the phone with Jeffrey?
Well, a little bit, not much. I talked to Philippe last night. I haven't talked to, haven't talked to Jeff Bodine, talked to Bill Davis and Philippe, and, we had one provisional left, darn it, and so there it goes out the window. But, they gave it a great effort, and so the car starts on a provisional tomorrow, which is okay. And like I said, I'll be rooting Jeff on. But, it looked like they were 30th practice in happy hour, and the car looked pretty good. So, this depending, from what I hear, this weather's moving on to Martinsville. So who knows? Who knows if we get to race here tomorrow, and maybe I can race on Monday at Martinsville. So we'll have to wait and see.
You talked about your loyalty to George.
Right.
You guys have had a great run together. You're going to be moving on to the Winston Cup Series, but you've had great success over here. Tell me what it means to you to have run with this team as long as you have.
It's a great story. Last year I get ready to go to Daytona like a week before. Jerry Kennan, good friend of mine, calls me up and says, "Hey, Mike McLaughlin just went over to Gibbs Racing. Would you drive the car?" I said, "Love to." So I got down there with one race deal. We run 8th. And I said, heck, let's just do this. So we agreed, and we got going, and we won a race last year, 2 poles, finished 10th, and here we are this year. It's kind of strange. We haven't had a real good year, but we're 6th in the points just because, we keep running hard. And like I say, we're not happy with the way we've run this year, but, I've got mixed emotions. George Debadar is a good friend of mine, and, I just want to maintain that relationship. They've been awesome to me, so it's kind of a sad deal. When you part with a team and you want to move on, their feelings get hurt, your mind get hurt. So I just want everybody to know how good of friends me and George are, and it's not easy leaving a team that I've been with 2 years and put it in the top 10 in the points year after year, and so. I'm 39 years old, Ralph. The biggest thing is I want to get a shot at that Winston Cup win.
39, that's tough. I'm only 38.
Look, got gray.
Lots of it, too, I can tell. Yeah.
You got
29th is where he's going to start, this old 39-year-old.
All right, let's check out the front of the field for tomorrow's Old Dominion 500 at Martinsville. And it is Ryan Newman, won the Bud Pole in qualifying yesterday.
Yep, good run for Ryan. Jeff Gordon's up there. Rusty Wallace runs Martinsville pretty good.
Yeah, Rapid Rusty. One of the winningest drivers at that track. How about the championship contenders for the Winston Cup title? Where did they qualify in Martinsville on Friday? Well, the big one is that first one, 31st for Tony Stewart.
Yeah, that's tough. That's a tough place to start at Martinsville, especially you don't get a very good pit stall pick on that too. And Martinsville pits are very tight, so he's got his work cut out for him.
If you were Tony, would you want to be starting back there with that 97-point championship lead?
Of course not. I don't want to be up there where Ryan Newman's starting.
There you go. Tomorrow at noon Eastern here on NBC, NASCAR Winston Cup racing for Martinsville. And contrary to what Kenny Wallace says, I hear the forecast is a lot more optimistic for tomorrow. NASCAR on NBC from Memphis Motorsports Park, 3/4-mile short track where rain has halted the Samstown 250 before it even gets started. Race team members checking things out in the garage area. How about a little sunshine? Did you go for that?
Yeah.
Next year on NBC, fun in the sun at the Michael Jordan Celebrity Invitational from the Ocean Club in the Bahamas. His Airness will hit it up on the links with celebrities including Wayne Gretzky, Ahmad Rashad, Dr. J, and more. It's the Michael Jordan Celebrity Invitational next here on NBC. 1 week ago today, my buddy Wally here was racing in the NASCAR Busch Series event at Charlotte and had a great run. Up as high as 3rd, wound up finishing 7th in his Pepsi Dodge. But then they went to the post-race tech line. And Wally's world wasn't so pleasant at that point. The fans were with you. The crew was with you. For most of the day, the car was with you. The wall was also with you from time to time. This was a great restart.
Thank you.
I just want you to know we gave you all the credit that we could for that. Here's one of the not-so-good parts.
Where you one of the 3.
Tried to adjust the car.
There's another one.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what Wally's world was like last Saturday. But Wally's crew chief, Tommy Baldwin, was fined $25,000 because the car didn't meet the minimum height when it came through tech inspection after the race. Go ahead and explain yourself, first of all.
No, NASCAR should pay me $25,000 for hanging on to that pig for the last 40 laps because it would not turn. I mean, I could see if we could figure out how that jack bolt would stop at 5 turns, that would be an advantage. But 15 turns, I was hitting the racetrack pretty hard. It would not turn.
Now, because Wally's been walking around here moping all week, and you saw the math on that, we passed the hat among our TV crew. The free Wally fund to see what we could do to help get him back in the race, because you can't race again until you pay it. But here's the bad news, okay?
Well, I don't have to pay it. And
Tommy does, but you can't race until Tommy pays it.
And considering that I have not gotten paid my prize money from Tommy from last week, that's very generous of you.
We went around to the TV crew and we came up with...
You guys really came up with a lot.
$2.57.
Thank you.
So
appreciate it.
The free Wally fund.
Tommy, pay the fine.
You're going to help. Yeah, right. We have some more help down in the garage? Is that true, Glenn?
Well, actually, Alan, the NASCAR family is so good about coming to the aid to those within the NASCAR family that need it when they need it. And, of course, Wally's been a huge part of this NASCAR family for so many years. Dallenbach Glen, great in the racing community. And, Wally, the first thing we did this weekend when we got here is we went down and passed the helmet, as they say. And here it is, buddy. Yeah. The free Wally fund. And
I can see all my buddies down in the Busch garage.
Yeah, all your buddies. There's actually Randy LaJoy threw 2 washers in there. That's the best we could come up with. I'm sorry. Actually, Glenn, you might have found a couple other things.
Well, yeah, Ralph, I did. In fact, I have moved over to the scene where the crime was discovered. This is the NASCAR Technical Inspection Area. This is where they measure roof height on a car. This contraption here, you see it goes up. They push the car under there. Now, write this down, Wally. It's 51 inches. That's the height that the car has to be, 10 inches back from the center of the roof, right in the center there. So 51 inches. This is where it was discovered. I went on a crusade down here to find some money. Very generous. 55 cents to add to it. So we got you some money there, Wally. But also, some other guys chipped in and said, here's what Wally really needs. These are, well, I thought they were washers. They're actually spacers, Wally. That's what you use to hold the car up with, man. I'm going to bring these back with me whenever the show's over today so you guys can use this. And one more thing from Greg Biffle. He told me to tell you that if you weren't cheating, you wouldn't have been running so fast anyway to run into the wall to make the car settle down. So, you see, it all works together.
So what you're saying is, number one, it's my fault. That's what you're saying, first of all. Second of all, I don't know why you're telling me this, because I'm just a driver. This is the crew chief's department, not my department. So
oh, wait. I found a few more quarters in my pocket. Okay.
Fantastic.
There you go. Now,
and I don't know about Biffle. You know, I stood up for Biffle and said he couldn't see. He could see fine. He passed me when he had all that oil in the windshield. So I don't think that was a big problem.
Nothing but support from your friends, pal.
I see that. Thank you, guys.
Glad to do it. When we come back, the Winston Cup winner from last Sunday night, Jamie McMurray, is going to join us, and we'll look at a little bit of last weekend's Charlotte race. You're watching NASCAR on NBC. NASCAR on NBC, live from Memphis, Tennessee, where today's NASCAR Busch Series race has not yet begun. Rain, that system that just put Texas under a whole bunch of water yesterday, is now moving through Tennessee and has kept us from starting this race so far. Here's the man of the week, Jamie McMurray, Winston Cup winner. That sure sounds good to you, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's been a pretty exciting week, and just trying to take it all in. Struggled a little bit with our Busch car here in qualifying, but hopefully get it a little bit better for the race either today or tomorrow, and see what we can do.
How many times have you watched last Sunday's race during the week this week? Have you yet?
Well, I got to watch it on Wednesday on the Speed Channel. You know, they came in to the shop and let us talk a little bit, you know, I guess to commentate throughout the race. But really it was more nerve-wracking to watch it than it was actually in the car. And the car felt so good, but I watched it Wednesday night and got nervous, even though I knew what the outcome was going to be. But, yeah, it's been pretty wild.
We're going to get you to watch it with us, and from time to time we'll pop back here and get your thoughts at different segments of the race, what was going through your mind and different things like that. How's that? We're going to pick it up at lap 219. 334 was the total distance. This is last Sunday's UAW GM Quality 500 at Charlotte. NBC tomorrow night, don't miss American Dreams, the show critics are calling Fall's Winner. 8/7 Central, Sunday night, American Dreams on NBC. Raining in Memphis, today's NASCAR Busch Series race in the wake zone. That's terrific. That's back in the garage. It's about like that. A lot of rain has fallen today. Not looking likely we're going to get this one going, but we continue to wait it out. Jamie McMurray, last week's winner, is watching his victory last Sunday night with us. We'll talk with him in a couple of more minutes. First, let's go back to the racing. Our Pepsi race recap. How things have unfolded today at Charlotte. Nearly... What a mess. Back live at Memphis Motorsports Park with Wally and Jamie McMurray, last week's winner. That's where we first saw you come to the fore. How'd you get the lead?
Well, we stayed out, with pit strategy. Tony and Lee made a good call there. We had just pitted under green flag conditions 4 laps before that, and didn't really feel like we felt like the track position we were going to gain was going to be better than putting 4 more tires on, and made quite a few adjustments that stop before. And I told them the car was a little bit free, but I knew it was going to tighten up as the run went on, and elected to stay out, and couldn't believe how much better the car was in clean air. Had never really noticed that in my Busch car. Led a couple of races, but it was huge in the Cup car. So got out front, and at one point when the 18 car got up beside me, I was going to let him go. When we got through the tri-oval, I don't know if he let off or if the guys behind me just pushed me by, but I ended up getting back in front of him, and once I got up there, just started getting away and got in a rhythm. And Tony and Lee were talking to me, just stay relaxed. The car looks good. Just hit your marks and just try to keep doing that. And couldn't believe how good the Coors Light Dodge was once we got out front.
And Wally, as a follow-up to that big wreck, NASCAR put Todd Bodine on probation until December 31st, said they'd noticed a few incidents, and they called it careless driving.
A thought?
I don't know if it's careless driving. I mean, I think he probably made a mistake is all that is. And obviously, we talked about at the beginning of the show, you can't get in the grass when it's wet like that. So, you know, that's a tough call to make.
Todd, I talked to Todd Friday at Martinsville before I came here to Memphis. His opinion was the punishment didn't fit the crime, but he said it's their rules. You have to play by them. Yep. All right, we're watching last Sunday night's UAW GM Quality 500 at Charlotte with the winner, Jamie McMurray. We'll take a break in the rain here at Memphis. Come back with more NASCAR on NBC in a minute. Race menu. What's coming up as we follow the race for the championship on NBC and TNT tomorrow noon Eastern Time, the Old Dominion 500 for the Winston Cup Series from Martinsville, Virginia. Back to the super speedways for the rest of the season: Atlanta, Rockingham, Phoenix, and then the finale in Homestead, Florida. That's what's coming up tomorrow noon Eastern here on NBC. NASCAR Busch Series action, rain delayed here in Memphis, Tennessee today. They're hoping to get it going later this afternoon, but the clock is ticking and the water is still falling. Meantime, we are watching last Sunday night's Winston Cup race from Charlotte, won by Jamie McMurray. Jamie's sitting in with us. We'll talk about the race as we go along. Right now, let's go back to the action. There's a lesson here for you, Jamie. When you get a big lead, the cameras tend to drift elsewhere to other guys that are closer racing for position. You disappeared in this segment.
Well, car was just really good in clean air, like I say, and you know, really at that point, I was trying to get as far away as I could.
And doing a good job of it.
Well, I knew we made our green flag stop. I was going to struggle with that. All day long, I'd lost 2 or 3 seconds getting in the pits. Just really being too careful, not wanting to spin out getting on pit road or get caught speeding or whatever. So, especially leading the race. And then when I watched, I heard Benny and everybody talking like he's probably going to make a mistake here. So glad that I did, you know.
Benny said that, didn't he?
Well, we'll find out here coming up in just a few minutes. How's that? Jamie McMurray with us watching his victory from last Sunday night at Charlotte. We'll come back with more of that action as it's raining in Memphis, and the NASCAR Busch Series race has yet to begin. Ah, yes, a lovely day here in Memphis, Tennessee. Not when you're at a racetrack and they run with slick tires and you can't race in the rain. We have not yet started today's 250-lap NASCAR Busch Series race. It's not been canceled either by NASCAR, so we're rating out the delay here by watching some of last Sunday's NASCAR Winston Cup action from Charlotte. Before we get back to that, let's see what's going on down in the garage and see what our intrepid pit reporters are up to, if they've gone to a pair of shoes number 2 or not. What do you think, guys?
I'm ready for them, man. These are wet. We'll talk about shoes a little later. Right now, I'm standing here with Johnny Sauter. Johnny, great qualifying run starting on the outside pole. You've had some success here at Memphis. You won the ASA race, I guess, a year ago. You got to feel comfortable about racing on this racetrack when and if we ever get to race.
Yeah, that's the question. But you're right. I mean, I love this racetrack. I think I got the track record here with the ASA car, and we sat on the pole and dominated and ran real good here in the Busch race last year in the 21 car. So hopefully we can get this race in tomorrow, probably, it looks like, and have something for them.
Johnny, how important is it, and I know you're a rookie, so there have been a lot of places you've been to this year that you've never seen before. That's tough on a guy. I know that young drivers go through that. But when you come to a place that you've had success at, how much of a step ahead or a leap ahead is that for you?
It's just peace of mind knowing that you're getting to the racetrack. You know kind of some of the sweet spots, I guess, so to speak. I mean, every racetrack has a certain bump or a certain groove that you need to be at, and the only way you're going to get that or find that is seat time. And, you know, it's all in all, you got to have a great race car no matter where you go, and I feel like we got a real good car in this AC Delco car here, and I think we got something for them. I really do.
Well, you've had a good car several times this year. You won at Chicago. I know things haven't gone exactly the way you wanted them to go this year, but you have had some success. I know you're looking for more, but overall, looking back, reflecting on your rookie season, your thoughts, grade yourself. Grade Johnny Sauter.
I don't know. I mean, this is a whole new world. I mean, anything that I've ever done before. I mean, you're racing 34 weekends a year. You got 10 tests scheduled, and you're on the road a lot. And, you know, I've always tried to strive for perfection, and I guess I'd have to give myself a C+, B-, something like that. I mean, I give 100%, but I just didn't catch on to some of these racetracks as fast as I thought I needed to.
Well, I think that the grade's probably a little bit higher than that, guys. I'm a big Sauter fan. There is one thing about Johnny Sauter. His day in the sun, his day to succeed in the Busch Series will come. But right now, I do know this about the man. He probably has the best taste in shoes of anybody in NASCAR, the wet brown ones. Let's go to Ralph Shaheen.
All right, Glenn, thanks. We're David Reutemann, who's got a big weekend ahead of you here. You're going to start well up in your third Busch Grand National race. Whenever we do go racing, you'll start 5th there. And you've also going to try to wrap up the Hills Brother All-Pro Championship. Got a 5-point lead there, and you're going to have your final race here. Which one are you more worried about?
Well, yeah, like I said, we want to run good in both of them, actually. But we got a good shot of winning the point deal on the All-Pro side. And I'd like to kind of finish that out if we could, but you know, got a great opportunity here with Natural Gear for the Busch race, and you know, really want to do a good job for them. They've you know, taken a stab at a guy they really never heard of, and you know, with Nemco Motorsports and all the guys on the team, they've been able to do real good things with the limited amount of experience I've gotten in these cars with the radial tires and such. So we're looking for hopefully you know, we'll have a real good finish in both cars, but if the rain will stop for a little while anyway.
How do you go about convincing a sponsor to jump on board with a new young face in the series like that so you can make the step to the next division?
Well, I think that's Joe's kind of gone about it for me a lot, Brian Patty, and they just I think they got the faith in me, and as long as I don't go to tearing their cars up too often, I think hopefully they'll keep asking us to come back. But we got a good opportunity next week in Atlanta with Bully Hill Vineyards for drive one of Nemco's cars we're trying to experiment with a little bit, kind of a test car, and so another great opportunity next week too. So if we can get this deal in, it's kind of a dream weekend. You know, you get a shot to run a Busch race, and then you get a shot at your first All-Pro Championship. So it's if we can finish it out like I hope we will, I'm hoping for big things.
As you mentioned, you're going to drive for Joe Nemechek here this weekend. And how did you and Joe get to know each other? Is the fact that you're both from Florida?
Well, my tie with Joe was actually his crew chief, Brian Patty. He worked with me back when we were both really young. Seems like a long time ago, but he got a start at our shop and working on my cars, and we raced together, and we've always had the aspirations to be able to one day race with each other again, and it's just kind of come full circle. And they're doing loads of great things for me, and he's been just a tremendous asset, he and Joe both, and I'm really happy to be here.
Well, and as the son of the legendary Buzzy, David Reutemann's got a busy weekend ahead of him.
Yeah, one of the new names you'll be hearing about in NASCAR racing over the coming few years.
Thank you.
All right, Jamie McMurray's here now. We said that we were talking about your chance to make a mistake on the last green flag pit stop. You want to go back and see what we said?
Right,
see how reality played out? All right, let's go. Back to the race in Charlotte last Sunday night. Lap 279 is where we pick it up. Okay, first let's absolve BP. He said it was...
Perfect stop.
Perfect. Said you did good. And how about that when you ran up on that lap car there, and you and the lap car and Bobby Labonte got 3 wide? That was exciting for us.
Yeah, it looked a lot worse on TV than what it felt in the car. My car just felt so good to me that I didn't really feel like I was doing anything that was out of control. And the 43 car was pretty generous there, and I think he got out of gas and let me and the 18 get by pretty quick. But I felt pretty good because I was on the bottom. Being on the outside there, still not real comfortable for me.
Okay, you got 30 laps to go. How many times are you looking in the mirror every lap?
Every time I came off the corner. But the thing that made me feel good was that every time I came off, I could put a car length on him. It seemed like, and I'd wait till we get to the next corner, come off, and I'd put another car length on him. If not for lap traffic, I felt like we would have got away again. But, everybody was talking about Talladega was going to be a tough start for me, needing a drafting partner. But I felt like Charlotte was by far worse with traffic, especially earlier on in the race. Even when we were running back in 15th or 20th, I would catch someone and couldn't get by him. And I know Michael Waltrip got by me while I was trying to pass someone, and it seemed like they got out of the way.
Yeah, it's a little bit easier when you're the leader. The leader's
yeah.
coming behind you. They give you a little bit more room.
Yeah, most definitely.
Jamie McMurray with us, watching his victory last Sunday night in Charlotte. It's still raining here in Memphis. What is this? NASCAR's best commentator. Oh, Wally.
I'm out. I'm really out, guys.
You're
Sorry.
short 25 grand, huh? All right. Back with more from Memphis in just a minute. We'll look at the finish of Jamie's win in Charlotte last week. Stay with us. Tomorrow night on Boomtown, a sensational 30-year-old murder mystery explodes. Don't miss the last 5 minutes. It's a shocker. Boomtown, Sunday night, 10/9 Central on NBC. See that sudden activity burst in the garage? There's good reason for that. The crews are going to their cars and starting to push them back under cover. We're waiting on the official word, but these kind of circumstantial evidence leads us to believe that we're not going to see any live racing today here in Memphis.
That's as official as you get.
Okay, it is official now. The race has been postponed until tomorrow here in Memphis. And the green flag will go at 11:50 local time, Central Time tomorrow. So that's what you're up against tomorrow there, kid, 11:50 Central Time. Hopefully it'll be dry and you can race.
Well, I think that, one thing that I know a lot of guys did yesterday was scuff tires. And I really don't feel like that's going to be an advantage now, especially with the green racetrack. But, we did that here last year and we had a pretty good run. So looking forward to coming back and getting around the Williams Travel Center Chevrolet tomorrow. I'm learning that now.
Yeah. Got to get all the right sponsor phrases in the right places.
Yeah, they critiqued me on what I did wrong in Victory Lane. I mean, even though they were all happy, they told me the few things I need to improve on.
Hey, you didn't do anything wrong in Victory Lane. Don't worry about that. Right. Keep your left side tires out of the grass tomorrow, though.
There you go. Jamie McMurray with us. Let's go back and watch the finish of his big victory last Sunday night in Charlotte. We'll tell you about arrangements for tomorrow's race and all the rest here in just a few minutes. First, we pick it up at lap 322 of 334.
I'm sure you knew the race wasn't over. Your spotter, that was your spotter, right?
Well, I think that was Lee McCall, wasn't it?
Yeah, they were yelling at me because I was screaming on the backstretch. I was going nuts on the backstretch, and I think he thought that I was like, it's over, and he was just like, it's not over, keep going, They said I got him all nervous.
And I assume you're weak. I never having been a Winston Cup race driver, but I assume every driver wonders what that first big win will be like. Did it live up to reality?
Oh, I think, yeah, most definitely. And the part that I loved about it so much was that it wasn't that we had better gas mileage or that we stayed out on 2 tires or did something. It was, man, we got out front and we just had the fastest race car that day and, used a little pit strategy to get up there, but then we had the car capable of staying up front. And, I think that's why Sterling, Sterling's an incredible driver, but that's a championship caliber team. Tony and Lee made a really good call to stay out. We very well could have pitted and we would have run about 10th, I'd say, just because we were so tight behind guys. But they made the call to stay out and just had a good car once we got up front.
That's what you call smoking them.
Yeah,
you smoke.
There you go. All right, appreciate you taking the time to be up here with us. I know you didn't have a whole lot else to do in the rain, but we gave all our cash to Wally earlier.
All our cash.
Well, $2.57. But we got like free hats and T-shirts and stuff if you'd like them, just for taking the time to come up here and be with us. We appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me. This is a whole different perspective of what you see. From either watching it in the trailer or at home. It's pretty wild up here.
Yeah, it can be busy sometimes.
It's amazing how I carry Alan, isn't it? Staying awake.
Always. All right. We appreciate it. Congratulations again. Best of luck tomorrow in your Williams Travel Center Chevy. You know what? He knows how to do a pretty good victory donut, too. I don't suspect that's the last one of those we'll see. Jamie McMurray, winner last Sunday night at Charlotte. The race has been canceled in Memphis. We'll talk more about it in just a minute. NASCAR on NBC, Memphis, Tennessee. The Samstown 250 for the NASCAR Busch Series has been postponed by rain. It will be run tomorrow, starting at 11:50 a.m. Central Time. Now, tomorrow at noon Eastern, we are going to be on the air in Martinsville, Virginia with the NASCAR Winston Cup Series Old Dominion 500, presented by Old Navy on NBC. And what's going to happen with the television of this race depends on what happens tomorrow. If we're live in Memphis, then we'll tape the Busch Series race. We'll show it to you later, probably Monday on TNT. If for some reason this rain moves to Martinsville tomorrow, we may end up bringing the Memphis race live. Follow me through this here. We're kind of working with a fluid situation. Fluid, rain, okay. Good. So we'll take a break here. A little bit more coverage from Memphis before we go in just a moment. You're watching NASCAR on NBC. So the infield grass is soaking wet, and Jamie leaves our booth, and he's got to get his girlfriend back across to the garage. That's Cielo Garcia, by the way, his girlfriend. So, what chivalry? And the reward. All right, here's the starting grid for tomorrow's NASCAR Busch Series race. Greg Biffle on the pole with the championship lead.
And a clear windshield.
Yeah. Johnny Sauter, talked to him a little while ago, driving for Richard Childress. He'll start second. Last year's winner, Randy LaJoie, going to come from row 2.
Thank you, Randy, for the washers. I appreciate the kindness.
Yep. Ron Hornaday in row 5, and David Green had that 5th place finish in Ricky Hendrick's car last week at Charlotte. He's in row 6.
Jack Sprague, Jason Keller. Jason, he had a great interview. He's got to do what he's just got to stop making mistakes, and maybe Greg will make one, but boy, they're running out of time for him to catch him in the championship.
Kerry Earnhardt going to come from row number 10 in the Samstown 250. Tony Rain's been one of the hottest drivers in the Busch Series of late. He's going to have to come from row 11, though, in tomorrow's race. Christian Fittipaldi, Kenny Wallace, way back in row 15.
Kenny will be praying for rain tomorrow in Martinsville. We won't, but yeah, he will.
And the final driver to qualify on time was Jay Sauter in the other Richard Childress car. Rest of them back in provisional land, including Jamie McMurray from victory lane at Charlotte to provisional land at Memphis. What a week. Back with more from Memphis Motorsports Park in just a moment. NASCAR on NBC. Pretty good race for third in the NASCAR Busch Series Championship between Scott Wimmer and Jack Sprague. Wimmer qualified for this race in 6th position, Sprague 13th spot. And down in the garage, I believe Wimmer's still waiting out the rain with Glenn.
It's two guys that are left in the garage here now, man. When they announced it was canceled, scheduled for tomorrow, everybody left. But Scott, stick around with us. Scott, we appreciate that. Couple quick questions for you. One, you seem to have a good track record here. You were 8th at Memphis last year. You qualified 6th. It seems like you get around this place pretty well.
Yeah, it's actually the first place I started racing for Bill Davis, so I started my career here, and always excited coming back here, short track racing, and close to Bill Davis's hometown. This is the closest track to Batesville, Arkansas, and Little Rock, and you know, a lot of people from Bill Davis Trucking and family and friends and things like that. So hopefully we get this thing in tomorrow and have a good day.
Well, I thank you again for waiting around with us there. We're going to hurry up and get away from here. A final thought, Scott Wimmer has had a good track record. He picked up that first win at Dover, Delaware a couple of weeks ago. I think this young man may be a guy that we need to watch to come to Victory Circle tomorrow. Ralph?
All right, Glenn. Well, Shane Meal is going to roll off 4th tomorrow. And not only are you here for the first time as a race car driver, but now you've also got to deal with a green racetrack. How tough is that going to be tomorrow?
It'll be pretty tough, I'd imagine. When we went out first time yesterday, it was really slick with no rubber, and also we just started getting the track really like we wanted it with all the rubber on the track, like at the end of happy hour. So it's really gonna be tough, but you know, everybody's got the same ball field we got to play on. So when they drop the green flag tomorrow, the Mike's Hard Cranberry Lemonade will be really fast, and you know, we just going to come out of here hopefully with another top 10. We've been running good about the last month, and we want to finish the season out strong.
Well, I know your crew already took off. If you need to ride back to the hotel, just let us know. We appreciate you sticking around. He's going to roll off 4th tomorrow, Alan.
All right, Shane Beal, one of the young drivers on his way up in the NASCAR Busch Series. Covered up the cars, pushing them back under the garage. Rained out in Memphis today. We'll talk about tomorrow's Martinsville race and wrap it up when we come back. After today's rainout, we turn our attention to Martinsville Speedway in Virginia for the Old Dominion 500. Old Navy presents our NBC coverage, noon Eastern tomorrow. Short track racing.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Bend some fenders, tempers boiling. Stay with us. That's noon Eastern time tomorrow. Next on NBC, it's fun in the sun. It needs some sunshine. Michael Jordan, Celebrity Golf from the Ocean Club in the Bahamas. That's coming up next. For Wally Dollenbach, Glenn Jarrett, and Ralph Shaheen, Alan Bestwick saying thanks for staying with us for our NASCAR on NBC coverage from Memphis.
Like crazy here on Saturday, washing out all of the racetrack activities as the rains just poured down on the racetrack. The cars were covered up, and the crews did the best they could to entertain themselves in the garage area. But some dedicated, loyal fans hung out till the very last minute. Hi, everybody. I'm Ralph Shaheen alongside of Glenn Jarrett. We are going to go racing here today. It is much cooler. It is overcast. Feels more like winter than fall, but we're going to go racing for sure with the NASCAR Busch Series. And we've got a tremendous points battle going on. 168 points now separates Greg Biffle from second place man Jason Keller. Biffle pretty much needs to hang on, Glenn. What does Jason Keller have to do to close the gap?
Well, Ralph Biffle starts on the pole today. Jason Keller didn't have a very good qualifying effort. He starts back in 14th position. The thing that he has to do, he's got to get to the front as quickly as he possibly can. And the second thing, he has to beat Greg Biffle. He cannot afford to give up any more points leaving Memphis today. So he's got a tall task ahead of him.
Almost do or die.
Absolutely.
All right, that's the story for the two at the top of the points battle. Let's check in now, man, with the third member of our broadcasting crew. Here's Mark Arrow working pit lane today.
Guys, usually under this circumstance, NASCAR impounds the cars. They're the covers are put on, nothing is allowed to be changed. Well, this morning NASCAR did something different. They allowed changes. A number of teams changing gears. They think the track is going to be a lot faster. Today they're going to be pulling a lot more RPM. Some teams shocks, sway bars, springs, a lot of changes made by a lot of teams. However, the cars that are fast, the cars to beat, Jason Keller, Greg Biffle, they're standing pat. So in a town known for its gambling, teams are rolling the dice today, whether they're standing pat or whether they made changes.
Well, the one thing they're going to have to do is build some adjustability into those race cars today, Glenn.
Oh, absolutely. The racetrack is completely green. They haven't been on it since Friday. Now, things have changed a lot then. The rubber's washed off the racetrack. It should be very grippy. The guys are going to have to make a lot of adjustments today.
And there's some simple things that they can do to that. During pit stops, they'll be able to go in and make some quick changes to the car, try to dial it in to what the driver wants to see.
Absolutely. And the thing about it here is the guy that hits the thing quickest, that hits the setup the quickest, he's the guy that can get out front. You get out front here at Memphis, it's tough to pass once the guy gets out and makes a good run.
That first caution is going to be an integral part of how this race comes out today, because a lot of those teams will be diving down on the pit road, trying to get those first changes put onto that race car, see if they can quickly get the car back to where the driver wants it, hopefully where he had it earlier today. Let's go down to the track now to Mr. Keith Smith and Mr. James White to get us underway.
Your engines.
Well, that was the command to fire engines. They're coming to life, and we'll be racing here in the Samstown 250 from Memphis Motorsports Park shortly. Stay with us here today on TNT. And the field is rolling off today, so let's get you the starting grid for the Samstown 250. On the inside of row number 1, the points leader, Greg Biffle. On the outside, the Chicagoland winner, Johnny Sauter.
In row 2, his last year's winner, Randy LaJoie. That was his last win. It came 32 races ago. On the outside, Shane Mill, who has 2 top 10s in his last 3 races.
Row 3 on the inside, the NASCAR All-Pro points leader, David Reutemann. And on the outside of that row is 3rd place in the points of the Busch Series, Scott Wimmer.
In row 4 is Tim Fedewa and Stacy Compton. Fedewa had a great qualifying effort. It's all negated. He'll have to go to the rear. He had an unapproved engine change after qualifying.
Mike McLaughlin starts on the inside of row number 5. On the outside, former truck champ Ron Hornaday.
In row 6 are David Green and Lowell Bennett. Bennett's only making his 3rd ever career Busch start. David Green has started twice here before. He finished 5th last week at Charlotte.
Jack Sprague is also a former truck champ, and Jason Keller is 2nd in the Busch Series points.
In row 8, that's Ashton Lewis Jr., who finished 9th in this race a year ago, and Reagan Smith making his 1st career Busch start.
Row 9 has Hank Parker's Dodge on the inside, and on the outside, Kevin LePage making his first visit to Memphis.
And row 10 compiles of Kerry Earnhardt and Stanton Barrett. This is Barrett's best start of 2002.
Former Busch Series Rookie of the Year, Tony Raines on the inside of row 11. Casey Mears has Dodge number 66 on the outside.
Row number 12, Butch Miller and Kevin Grubb. Butch Miller is probably better known for his ASA racing, has a lot of NASCAR Busch racing experience under his belt.
Curtis Vickers is on the inside of row 13 in a Chevy, and Brian Vickers, or Curtis Davis and Brian Vickers, I should say, on the outside of row 13.
Row 14, Coy Gibbs and Mark Green. Coy Gibbs making his 5th Busch Series start. Mark Green finished 17th here 2 years ago.
Kenny Wallace on the inside of row 15. Chad Chaffin is filling in for Christian Fittipaldi, and he will be on the outside of row 15.
Row 16, Clay Dale and Scott Riggs. Riggs, the leading Rookie of the Year contender, wrecked his primary car in practice, had to go to a backup.
Bobby Hamilton on the inside and Brad Baker on the outside of row 17.
And in row 18, Richard Jarvis and Jay Sauter. Jay Sauter has the best average finish of the Busch Grand National regulars here. He's only ran here twice before.
Jamie McMurray picked up his first ever career Winston Cup victory last week. Today, he's got a provisional start for the Busch race. Tim Sauter alongside.
And in row 20, Larry Foyt and Ron Young. Foyt finished 17th here a year ago.
Dana White on the inside of row 21. Joe Buford on the outside. A pair of Fords in that row. And rounding out the field, Larry Gunselman in his Chevrolet. Well, as we told you last week, Jamie McMurray picked up his first ever career Winston Cup victory, and today he's got to take a provisional for the beginning of the Busch race. Let's check in with him now. Jamie, Ralph Shaheen from TNT, you got to start with a provisional today. How tough is that going to be on you after winning your first Cup race last week?
Well, the track's going to be really slick here at first, and I think if we can set up trouble, we're going to be okay. The car was really good in the happy hour. Jason and the guys made a couple of adjustments, and I think we're going to be pretty good today.
Starting that far back, what will your strategy be to work through the field, Jamie?
Well, really just trying to get underneath everybody. It's going to be hard to get any grip, and we really worked on that last couple of days, trying to get good forward bite. Hopefully we've accomplished that we had, just getting up underneath guys up off the corner.
All right, Jamie, best of luck to you. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
Jamie McMurray is going to start a little bit deep in the field today, Glenn. He's going to definitely have his work cut out for him.
Oh, absolutely.
And the weather today, as we said earlier, Glenn, a lot different than the last time these guys were on the racetrack on Friday.
Yeah, on Friday the temperature was about 72 degrees, so it's a good 20, 21 degrees cooler than it was. Real high humidity, a little bit of wind, but it's really cloudy, really cool. It's going to make getting these race cars set up just right. That's going to make it a bear all day, Ralph.
Let's take a look at our Old Navy track fact now. As we get set for racing here at Memphis. Today's race at Memphis is the last of 10 standalone. That means there's no Winston Cup Series action here this weekend. And 7 of 9 have been won by different drivers.
It's also the last short track race of the year, and up through until Memphis, Greg Biffle has by far been the best on the short tracks.
Now, Glenn, there's a couple of bumps on this racetrack that really came into play last year. One going into turn one down the back straightaway. Especially with the cold racetrack, how much will that come into play?
Well, the guys are all aware of it, Ralph. They've had enough practice here. They've had enough experience here at this racetrack. But when you go down into turn 3 down the back stretch, there is a considerable bump, and it actually feels like the car kind of lifts off the ground a little bit, like you're going downhill for just a minute. So it can upset a car. You've got to be careful about where you pick and choose your places to pass on this racetrack.
The pace car is off. We are set for 250 laps. The Samstown 250 here on TNT. From Memphis Motorsports Park. Green flag is out. We're glad to have you with us. Down the back straightaway into turn 3. First time through that bump on those cold race tires. Greg Biffle out front. Sauter in second.
Yeah, Biffle wasted no time and put about a 10th car length lead on the rest of the field. He got a terrific start. Looking out the windshield of Jack Sprague there in the Net Zero Chevrolet.
Look at the huge pack behind Biffle.
That's exactly what he wants to see. Look back in that mirror, see those guys racing.
3 wide in contact, Glenn, and Randy LaJoie right in the middle of it, the 7 car. That's Reutemann in the middle of that pack on the bottom side there.
Reutemann is in the number 87 car, owned by Joe Nemechek. Great qualifying run by Reutemann, but he does have very limited experience in this series. He is the NASCAR Hills Brothers All-Pro Series points leader, but he's making only his second ever career NASCAR Busch Series start. Looks like he's got to straighten out to his, got a little more comfortable now, and particularly got out of that big pack of traffic.
Field starting to get down to one lane of racing now.
You still see Scott Wimmer in the black, number 23 up there on the outside. He finally cleared Randy LaJoie.
There's the 26 of Hornaday working the backside of Reutemann.
And Hornaday will work you to death on any short track. That's what he does best. He is relentless. He keeps pressure on you all the time.
And he's going to have it tricky here today because his crew chief isn't here. Right. Crew chief off on a hunting expedition with the car owner. So they're going to have to make some calls pretty much from the cockpit based on what Hornaday is feeling with the race car today. You see the number 40 of Brian Vickers working his way up through the field.
There you see Reutemann, Hornaday, and Randy LaJoie in the 7 car. Hard to believe it has been 32 races 1 year ago today since Randy LaJoie has won a Busch Series race.
Now, Mark, that problem for Ron Hornaday having to make his own calls, how's he going to go about that today?
They had a lot of fun talking about that this morning, and they decided there was only one thing they could really do. They went back to something that was tried and true. So the crew is going to give an example now. This is when they will decide to pit. It's rock, paper, scissors. And then what changes they're going to make? Another set of rock, paper, scissors. That's how they'll do it today.
Well, sometimes, Glenn, that's as good as having all the expert knowledge you can gather, isn't it?
Well, sometimes you go with what you got.
Running order across the top of your screen now. Greg Biffle with just a little over 2 seconds between him and Sauter.
Pretty good race. Ooh, trouble for Kevin LePage.
Kevin LePage, who making his first visit here to Memphis, already having problems.
Yeah, Kevin started in the 18th position, so this is not good. He had high hopes going into the race today. He really liked this racetrack, even though it was the first time he'd been here in a NASCAR Busch Series car.
Slowly bringing the machine down pit road. How long, Glenn, will it take under race conditions for the drivers to finally start to get a good feel for what the car is doing? We're 10 laps in now.
Well, after about 15 laps, Ralph, you know, your tires have set in. You should have most of the heat built up in them, the pressure built up to where you want it after 15 or 20 laps. So they should be starting to get a pretty good feel for what the cars are going to do right now.
Let's check in with Mark Carroll for more on the 37 of Kevin LePage.
Well, the news is not good. Kevin LePage, the hood is down after they took a look under it. They've assessed that they have dropped the valve, and they're going to push it back to the garage. So an early afternoon for that Timberwolf Chevrolet.
Engine problems taking him out, as earlier before the start of the race, Tim Fedewa made an engine change, and Coy Gibbs making engine changes as well, the 92 and the 20 prior to the start of the... Oh, and we got problems over in turn 4. That's the number 46 machine of Ashton Lewis, and also involved, that looks like the number 30 that Chad Chaffin is driving. That is Christian Fittipaldi's regular car. But Christian also runs on the Kart FedEx Championship Series, and he had to leave to get over to Australia for the next round of that series. So Chaffin, who did not qualify for this event, is filling in.
It looks like that might be most of the day for the 30 car. It is really crunched in the rear. I don't see how they would ever get any fuel in it. If they get him back out, it's going to take a lot of effort. Lewis got away pretty much unscathed.
Let's take a look at it again, Glenn, see if we can figure out what happened up here.
Yeah, Chad Chaffin was under Ashton Lewis, and they both kind of washed up the racetrack, and looks like it got away from Chad just a little. Well,
is that Kenny Wallace?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. It was a black car. I thought for a moment it was Chaffin, but it was not.
Yeah, that's Kenny's car right there on pit road, the 48.
You're exactly right. That's what happened. He got into the side of Ashton Lewis, and I imagine if Chaffin came along, didn't see any place to go, hit the brakes, and it turned around on him.
And he's got problems on the right side.
Looked like possibly a tire going down still on the 48 car.
Now here's Chaffin hitting the wall. That was Chad backing into the wall. I didn't see anybody around him at the time to get him loose. Let's take a look at Kenny Wallace's car. The right side, passenger side of the car is where all the damage is.
Yeah, he is coming back in.
And I think he's got big problems on that right rear, Glenn. Or, yeah, the right rear. See how that car is sitting there?
Yeah, I think.
That. Yes.
Yeah, the right rear tire is
down.
Yeah, they'll be able to fix that and go on.
You got to be careful of all that. You can see the rubber just flopping around in there. Make sure it doesn't get wrapped around anything. And let's take one more look at it.
Yeah, you see Kenny Wallace and Ashton Lewis getting together there. So this must have been two separate deals, unless Chaffin hit the brakes out of the camera there. Maybe he was trying to avoid Ashton Lewis as he came back down across the racetrack. But that was definitely just a two-car incident there.
Welcome back to Memphis. They have just thrown the green flag, and we are back at it.
We got a change for second place right there. Ron Hornaday got a better restart than Johnny Sauter in the number 2 car. Hornaday went right by him on the outside.
Sauter moves back to third.
And once again, Greg Biffle wastes no time in pulling away from the field, man. He has a great race car.
He's been tremendous on the starts. Now, one car that is a part of this first caution of the day is Chad Chaffin. With him now is Mark Garrow.
I'm with Chad Chaffin. You're out of the race. The contact with Ashton Lewis. What happened?
Well, we had a really good car, but I'd never drove it before, and it was a little loose, so I was being careful around some of the slower cars. But I don't know. They were just racing really hard. I think they probably were auditioning for this ride. They knew the car owner was watching the car. I just got turned around getting off in the corner. I'd like to thank Mike's Hard Lemonade, George Dividart for giving me the chance. And this is not what I had in mind for.
Well, a little loose condition right there as well.
Well, what actually happened, Ralph, was Jason Keller got under the 0-2 car there, and
that's Lowell Bennett.
Yeah, he bumped. They actually bumped coming off the corner, so it put a little grease in the side of Jason Keller's car, but he did get up into 10th position.
You're on board with Jack Sprague, and he's trying to get inside of Bennett as well.
As we said earlier during the lineup, during the race lineup, Bennett is an infrequent competitor in this series. And I guess Jason Keller felt like it was time to go. There was a little contact there, and there's some contact there as well. Major contact.
Serious contact as the two go side by side down into turn 3. Jack Sprague on the inside in the net 0-24. Bennett on the outside comes right back down on him. And finally, Sprague clears him. And we talked about Jason Keller, the man who is second in the points, and he has to get clear of stuff like this as quickly as he can, Glenn, as we go back and look at what happened to him racing with Bennett.
This was coming off of turn 4, and what Lowell Bennett did wrong there was he was already up in the outside groove. Jason was under him. He tried to come back down the racetrack. He didn't have the position. Jason Keller was already there. I don't think it did any serious damage to Jason's car. We're looking at the front glass of it right now as he pulls up on the back glass of Mike McLaughlin.
In short track racing, you expect some of that. The crews build their cars to take some of that. And you know there's going to be some bumping and banging, but you got to make sure that it's nothing that's going to do any serious damage to the car.
Well, that's right, Rap. But the one thing you don't want to do, just the slightest little contact, can push your finger in on the tire, make it rub, cut that tire down. The big difference there was, had that been a veteran driver, and I'm not picking on Lowell Bennett, he did a good job of getting in the race, and he's got good credentials from up in the Northeast where he runs. But if that had been a veteran on the outside, he would have backed out because he'd already lost the position. But he tried to squeeze Jason off a little bit, and Jason was already there, so there was contact.
Look at the lead Greg Biffle has gotten now over second place.
Big lead. That's a good 15 to 20 car length that he has pulled out over Ron Hornaday. You see Hornaday coming into position there and then into the camera there coming down the backstretch.
Well, the man that is chasing Greg Biffle on the racetrack, but more importantly in the points right now, is Jason Keller. And earlier in the weekend, we had an opportunity to talk to Jason about what he's going to have to do to reel Greg Biffle back in this points chase.
You can only do your best no matter what, and we're doing our best. Some things haven't gone our way in the last couple of races, but you know, hey, all you can do is do your best, and that's what everybody on the race team is doing, so we can't change anything.
That points lead, Glenn, was only 35 points as you look at the Albertsons 57 of Jason Keller. 35 points going into Kansas. Lone engine there. Then they move on to Charlotte. Picked up a couple bonus points by stretching their fuel run, but it cost him in the long run. Now it's 168.
Yeah, and that's with only 5 races to go, including today's race. That's a big, big lead to try to overcome. We see a car going down pit road, Ashton Lewis Jr., while we see the exciting racing on the racetrack. That's Stacey Compton in the 59, and David Green in the car number 5. David Green finished 5th in this car last week at Charlotte, the former NASCAR Busch Series champion, trying to make a comeback, trying to land himself a ride for next year, doing a great job in the car formerly driven by Ricky Hendrick.
Ricky making a courageous move to step out of the car after injuring his shoulder at Las Vegas earlier in the year. Got to Charlotte and said, you know, I just don't feel comfortable doing this right now. I think it's best for me to step out of the car. And that really takes a lot of courage and character for him to do that.
I thought it did. I thought it took a tremendous amount of courage and character for the young man. But he's from that kind of family. That's just how they are. And I know Rick Hendrick came out and said, hey, I was proud of him for making that decision on his own and saying, hey, guys, I'm hurting the team. It's time for me to step aside. I don't think that I can't think of anybody any better than David Green that they could have put in that car. David Green is still a great race driver. He just needs a chance in a good car. He's got it right now. Let's hope he does well with it.
That's 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th that you're looking at right now. Car number 7 is a man that won this race last year, Randy LaJoie. He is running in 7th. He's got Mike McLaughlin right behind him in the 18 and 8th position.
And Jason Keller right behind McLaughlin. I think Keller's actually a little quicker than those two cars. McLaughlin pulled away from him after they passed the last car, Stacy Compton, but Jason was able to run him back down pretty quickly. Jason is being very careful, particularly after that contact he had with Lowell Bennett. He knows that he can't do that too many times without paying a price for it.
I'm here today at Memphis Motorsports Park. The 09 of Clay Dale spinning over in the turn 4 area. And it looks like the 64 might have been involved as well. That's Richard Jarvis. Jarvis was part of it, and now the 09 as well. And the 49 involved. Joe Buford.
Thank you.
Wow, they did a great job. All three of them spun, didn't hit anything. Joe Buford came the closest, though. He might have just barely touched the wall there, but no harm done, no harm, no foul.
Greg Biffle continues to lead, and this is the only opportunity anybody's had a chance to get to him.
We got a couple of cars that are going down pit road now, a couple of good cars. Randy LaJoy, Mike McLaughlin. LaJoy's car looked like the handle was off on it just a little bit. Mike McLaughlin, they were in 7th and 8th before the caution came out. Scott Riggs, there's Steve McLaughlin.
One of the pit crew members falling down as he came around the front tire changer. That'll slow that pit stop down. And there's LaJoy's car. Crew going to work on the number 7. Service is done, and LaJoy is back out. McLaughlin lost a lot of time with that crew member going down.
Yeah, that was pretty costly. This tells me those guys that were pitting, that were in the top 10, top 12, top 15, that are pitting right now, they did not like their cars at all. They felt like that they needed something done right away, because we've only run about 45, 46 laps, and to pit this early, you had to have a big problem. So those guys were looking for an opportunity to adjust.
So basically, those crew chiefs were tired of hearing them screaming and yelling, "I need the thing fixed."
Pretty much so.
All right. Second caution of the day. Some of the cars taking advantage of it. No problems for Greg Biffle. Die-hard crowd hanging in here on a chilly day in Memphis. Stay with us. Down 250. Let's take a look at our Wendy's race menu. The race for the championship continues on TNT and NBC. Atlanta, Rockingham, Phoenix, and the championship finale in Miami. All making their way to NBC and TNT in the coming weeks. Well, 15 cars took advantage of our second caution of the day to make a pit stop. 2 of those marked, the 18 and the 7, were running high up in the field.
They certainly gave up a lot of track position. Mike McLaughlin has come out in the 24th spot. His crew chief, Tim Schutt, said slight adjustment. They took 1 pound out of the right front, car just a tick tight. For Randy LaJoy, a different kind of problem. Forward bite. They took 1 pound out of each rear tire. They also dropped the track bar down 1 turn to try to fix it. So they're pretty happy with their race cars, but they're now out of sequence with leader Greg Biffle. We'll see how that plays out throughout the rest of the race.
And we're back to green. And a challenge for the lead. Look at this. Here comes Hornaday inside of Biffle. And for the first time today, we have a new leader. Let's see if he can make it stick.
Yeah, right there. Ron Hornaday got a terrific restart, and he was all over Greg Biffle going into 1, all through the middle of 1 and 2, and coming up off the corner. I'm not too sure that Greg didn't look in the mirror and say, man, I don't want to, cross the fenders with him, lock fenders with him right now. And may have just backed out a little bit and let him go.
And look at this, Johnny Sauter right there as well with him in the number 2 AC Delco machine.
It's been noted for years that Ron Hornaday is probably the best on restarts of anybody in the NASCAR Busch Series, and he certainly showed it that time.
Well, maybe in NASCAR, period. I mean, whatever division he is in at the time, he seems to get restarts unlike anybody else.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and he got a great one that time.
And Sauter running hard. He's going to come right at the backside of Biffle and has to jump on the brakes as they get caught behind Kenny Wallace.
Yeah, the car that they're behind right there is Kenny Wallace. Kenny was had lost a lap on the racetrack. The car just not handling the way he wants it to. They're having a tough time now. Kenny trying to stay onto that lead lap, but looks like that they're going to finally get him. Don't get him. They'll be behind him coming off the 2.
Kenny is all the way back in 41st position, 3 laps down at this point. Well, we know Biffle has an extremely fast race car because when he was out front, he was able to not only get good starts, but pull away from everybody. But now we got to see what he can do with somebody putting pressure on behind him. And he doesn't want to go too hard because he's got to make sure, Glenn, that he keeps his car on the track because he can't cause himself a huge mistake and really give Keller a shot to get back in this fight.
He's being very careful. Now he puts a fender up under Hornaday coming off of 4. looks like he's going to grab that lead back, and he does. I think that what happened there was that his tires were just a little cool on the restart. He just maybe didn't get them cleaned off or something, but he just wasn't getting the same grip that Hornaday got when they.
Oh, we got one rig sliding through the front straightaway grass.
He's got to keep that car moving. He can't let that car stop because it's so wet and muddy down there. Looks like he's going to make it through.
Randy LaJoie in the incident as well. So the winner of last year's event here at Memphis has his number 7 torn up, and the third caution flag of the day is out.
Yeah, Riggs was able to continue on. He just barely got the nose into the wall when he went sliding through the grass. Don't think there was too much damage to his car, but you can see the damage on Randy LaJoie there. Pretty significant. Hopefully it's only sheet metal, but there's a lot of it.
Let's take a look at it again. Here's Riggs, right here, the number 10.
LaJoie is well up ahead of him, so evidently LaJoie had contact with somebody else. Oh, yeah, he came down and clipped, looks like Bobby Hamilton.
Yep.
He thought he had cleared him, and he didn't, and it sent him spinning, and then he spun right down in front of Riggs, had no place to go. Possibly a little miscommunication between the driver and the spotter there. Yeah, they're going to look down at the right front. I think most of it is just sheet metal.
Let's check in with Mark Garrow.
Well, the Dr. Pepper Chevrolet is in for Ron Hornaday. Again, they were without their crew chief, Tom Losey. He was out elk hunting. I bet he wishes right now he was here. They made a slight adjustment, put a little bit of wedge in the race car. Now 4 tires filling it up with fuel a little bit farther up pit road. Also, we see Jason Keller has brought the Albertsons Ford in. Hornaday down and away.
And there's a race off pit road. Greg Biffle, the leader, was also on pit road. And it appears that Johnny Sauter may have beaten him off pit road. So Sauter picking up a position there, actually 2 positions, because he was in 3rd when the caution came out. Biffle had just retaken the lead. Looked like a 4-tire change and fuel for Biffle. I don't know if they made an adjustment. I know that Mark will follow up with all the guys to see exactly what they did.
So everybody takes advantage of this yellow, the 3rd one of the day, to make their first pit stops. Those that hadn't been down there right now.
Let's see what happened in this wreck. We're inside Jack's brake car here. Whoa, you see, oh, I see what happened. Scott Riggs got on the brakes. He saw what was happening in front of him. He backed out. And he got punted from the rear. And there it is, the 21 car of Jay Sauter.
Damage to Jay Sauter's car, and Jay, of course, right in the thick of the chance to win this one last year.
It's so tough when you've just taken, you haven't even run 5 laps on a restart. Everybody's really going hard. You're really racing hard for a position on the racetrack. You've got a big group of cars in front of you like that. Somebody gets out of line and you let off, and boom, you get hit from the rear.
Oh, and Sauter's pit crew fired up about that stop. They put their man up front. We'll be back to Memphis after this. And our leader will be David Reutemann, who did not pit.
Yeah, a lot of cars are off sequence now, Ralph, because some of them pitted on that previous caution, and then the leaders pitted this time. Good restart for David Reutemann as he comes off the 2nd turn down the backstretch. Scott Wimmer riding in 2nd. The car that's out front right now, the 64 car, that's Richard Jarvis. He is on the tail end of the lead lap, I believe. I know that he's not battling for the lead.
David holding on to the lead right now, and he's starting to open up a bit of a gap over Wimmer as we look deeper into the field.
Wow, look at all the cars in front of Greg Biffle now. He is buried back in the pack.
Biffle's all the way back in 13.
Yeah, that's a long way back, and that's not what Greg wanted to see. He would rather have had everybody pit at the same time, not to pit off sequence, because when you pit off sequence, this is what happens. He didn't necessarily pit off sequence, but a bunch of the other guys did. Then when he came down pit road, those guys that pitted on the previous caution were in front of him, and now that's all the traffic that Greg sees out the front glass in front of him. He's got to get by these guys somehow. Plus lap cars, you see the 0 car that he's going underneath right now. I mistakenly identified that as the 11 car earlier in the broadcast. That's actually the 0, Curtis Davis. Curtis from Gaffney, South Carolina. You know what Gaffney's famous for, Ralph?
The peach.
Well, the peach and That's the place you used to elope when you go to marriage and get a quick marriage license in Memphis. Of course, I never had to deal with
Not
that.
that you would know about that, huh? Okay.
I heard about it from some friends. Yeah, right.
The number 2 of Sauter also making his way back through after a tremendous pit stop. He is now behind Biffle. Biffle's moved up to 12th. Sauter is running in 13th. There's Sauter. The Chicagoland winner, it's not winning one race, is still not good enough to keep this ride full-time next year, as Hornaday is going to take over this car full-time next season. And Sauter is going to share driving duties in the number 21 for Richard Childress Racing with Kevin Harvick on the Busch Tour. Back up front.
Well, we see the cars of David Ruderman in the 87 and 23 and the Scott Wimmer there. And I'm not sure if they've even made a pit stop yet. Let's go to Margaro and see.
Glenn, the answer to that is yes. About lap 40 is when the Ruderman car came in. About lap 50 for the other machine that you were talking about. And the situation for them is they're trying to race in a different pit sequence to get past halfway in case we get some bad weather. So they have some track position now in that run to halfway, and then they'll adjust their strategy from there out.
Well, Glenn, we talked about Jamie McMurray taking a provisional, the youngster who won his first ever Winston Cup race last week at Charlotte in just his second ever try. He has worked his way all the way up to 4th. The driver, number 27, having a good afternoon, working his pit strategy well.
And the way he's done that is with pit strategy, Ralph. What he did was he pitted in the caution flag previous to the one that we just saw.
Lead change right now. The 23 moving out front as Wimmer gets around the 87 to take over the top spot.
Scott Wimmer has been phenomenal this year, particularly lately. As I said earlier, he picked up his first win a few weeks ago at Dover. And on short tracks this year, he has been in second as far as the most points gained on short tracks. So not surprising to see him up there.
Let's take a look back to Dover when Scott Wimmer claimed the checkered flag back on September 21st. Big celebration. The youngster enjoying victory lane on the NASCAR Busch Series. Maybe doing it again here today.
I'm going to tell you one thing, too. That won't be the last time that Scott Wimmer visits victory lane in the NASCAR Busch Series. That kid has a talent. Yeah, we got
debris on the racetrack is what they're saying, Glenn.
Yeah, I was looking out to see if I could see that debris. We saw some down low on the front stretch earlier, but it was knocked out of the way.
And Riggs with a left front tire cut down as an S-Quick number 10 on pit road.
He's had a lot of problems early on in the race. He's going to have to hurry to get this tire changed and get down pit road before he loses a lap. And in fact, the crew is telling him to go on right now. They don't have time to change. That's the reason he stopped, and they didn't do anything. Or possibly going to send him to, he's coming in. He's going to take a hard left turn.
Right to the garage, yeah.
Yeah, so they must have something more severe than a flat left front tire.
50. Thursday night on TNT, we have an NBA exhibition doubleheader. First, the Dallas Mavericks face the Orlando Magic. Then the Milwaukee Bucks face the world champion Los Angeles Lakers. It all gets underway at 8 Eastern right here on TNT. Now let's check in with Mark Garrow for more on Scott Riggs' situation.
Well, they broke the rotor. That's one of the things they're going to have to work to replace. Also, the drag link got dragged along the racetrack. That's also probably going to have to be replaced. And one of the interesting things, Glenn mentioned before that when he got off in the grass, he couldn't slow down because he would get stuck. One of the things they're having to contend with is a bunch of mud and grass and debris up underneath this car as they work to take the broken parts off and put new ones on.
Well, you and I both sloshed our way across that infield yesterday, and it was almost knee-deep going through there.
Yeah, that grass strip between the edge of the racetrack and the pit wall, there's a lot of water, a lot of mud down there. It looks nice, but, boy, there's still a lot of moisture down there. And, you know, Mark Garrow was talking about that Scott Riggs dragged the drag link on the racetrack. What are you supposed to do with a drag link? Actually, the drag link, for you people that don't know, connects the two front spindles to each other so that they turn the cars at the same time.
Yeah, but now you got to tell them what spindle means.
That's what they were working on the car. That's where all the brake stuff goes to. Let's go green. Quit talking about this.
Okay, you started it. Green flag. We're back at it here. Restart lap 78. Good
restart for Scott Wimmer in the 23, the black car. I'll tell you what, Ralph, you got to give a lot of credit to David Rudiman. I mean, I know he used pit strategy to get up here, but man, what a good job.
Problems for the 24 of Jack Sprague. He got a horrible restart. The car not coming up to speed. He's on the outside, trying to get out of everybody's way. Now trying to cut to the bottom so he can maybe make it to pit road here in a lap or so. But he is just losing positions like crazy, going right to the tail of the field.
Yeah, he's got a big problem. The car doesn't look like it's turning the way he wants it to. Could have a tire going down or something worse. He's definitely coming to pit road.
Sprague makes the turn onto pit road. Now let's watch the restart and see if we can figure out what happened to the 24. There he is, going way high. Look at Busch.
Yeah, looks like the tire right front. No, the right front tire is up. Something is definitely wrong. They're going to the right side. You see him take the right front and the right rear tires off there.
This is actually Sprague's first Busch race here. He'd run 4 truck races here. In fact, one of the trucks back in 2000.
A tough break for Sprague. He's got his right side's changed and going back out to join the action. It's going to be almost 2 laps down.
Wimmer continues to lead, and a battle now going on here. That's Hank Parker in the 36, challenging Rudiman for second place in the 87.
Parker in the 36, the multicolored car there that you're looking out the front glass of. Also used that pit strategy to get up front. He pitted on about around lap 40, 45, I guess 45, 46 when the caution was out. And so now he has a great track position. And it looks like he's a little quicker than Rudiman right now, just trying to figure out a way to get by him.
Wow, look at the 87 sliding the rear end around as he comes off the corner, and that's going to open the door for Hank Parker to come to the inside.
That's all that Parker needed, was to see him break traction there. The guy that's coming up next behind Rudiman is the 26 car of Ron Hornaday. I'll bet this doesn't take very long.
Let's take a look at this again, Glenn. Watch as they come off the corner. Oh, and he's slowing down a little bit too, isn't he? Because Hornaday got by without any problems. Look at that as they come off the corner. The 87 starts slipping and sliding the rear end around, and Parker goes right past.
Yeah, it could be his car's getting a little loose, and he knows that trying to save the car. No use racing those guys harder right now. They have fresher tires on. Most of the guys behind him do. And so the best thing he can do is just try to hang on as long as he can, but not to break the rear end of that car loose much. You see Biffle up on the outside there. He is trying his best to get back to the front.
Craig is up to 7th. Working the outside of the 19, trying to get up into 5th. He gets around McLaughlin. That'll give him 6. And if he can get around the 19 of Tim Sauter, he'll pick up 5th position as well. And the other Sauter coming right with him.
Yeah, Johnny in the 2 there is going to go by his brother Tim in the 19. 3 Sauters in today's race. Johnny Sauter has a good race car. He's been quick since we got here. That's the number 2 car. But I don't believe anybody has anything yet for Greg Biffle. When Biffle made his pit stop earlier on, they didn't make any significant changes to the car. Not surprising at all the way that car drove away from the field early on.
Randy LaJoie had problems early on, the winner of last year's race here at Memphis. Mark Garrow with more.
Broken out in Randy LaJoie's pit as they try to make repairs. They've got the cutting torch out, and it ignited some cloth that was down underneath the race car. Randy sitting there very calmly, but inside you got to be churning a little bit.
Yeah, that's what happens. Got into a lap car come off the wall, got into it. I got in my left rear at the same time and just turned us around. It would have been pretty good. The old Kleenex Scott car would have been pretty good. Got tangled up.
And guys, he was out of pit sequence. When you get back there 22nd, 24th, things may happen. And I think right now they're regretting their choice to pit when they did.
The track position can mean a lot of different things at a lot of different times, Glenn, and getting caught deep in the field not only keeps you from racing up front, but puts you in position sometimes you don't want to be in. As we watch Biffle now really working the backside of Rudiman.
Yeah, he's going to get Rudiman. Rudiman, in fact, just pulls over. That time Biffle's going to go by him on the outside, it looks like. As we said earlier, Rudiman having a little bit of trouble keeping his car straight up off the turns. Biffle goes by him on the outside, down the backstretch into turn 3. But yeah, the pit strategy, can make you or break you, Ralph. You're exactly right. If you make the right call, you look like a hero. Wrong call, you're a zero.
Well, while Greg Biffle is running well up in fourth, Jason Keller, the man chasing him in the points, has dropped all the way back to 16th position in the Albertsons 57. Something not right on Keller's car.
Well, actually, Ralph, he just passed one car, so he went back to 17th. He didn't get out of the pits in very good position, and he has not been able to get the car working the way he wants it so that he can come back up through traffic like Greg Biffle has done. Jason just hasn't been able to get that car hooked up. He's got a lot of good race cars between he and Greg Biffle, and like we talked about earlier on, I know there's a lot of time left in the race, but he cannot afford to give up any more points to Greg Biffle today. They got to get that race car back to the front of the pack.
Jason sporting a T-shirt today that was given to him by his two young children, his son and his daughter. You know that Dad was a little down after the last 2 weeks of racing, having lost some points, so they made a T-shirt up for him that he was going to wear under his driver's suit as some good luck today.
Drama is banned.
Here in turn 4, we got David Green involved. 0-2 is Lowell Bennett. And this will be our 5th caution, Glenn.
There's another car up against the wall just out of the camera view there, and I can't see who it is. That's Bennett pulling away there. The 64 car of Richard Jarvis. So the Secrets car. He's got some pretty significant damage there to the right front of that car, so that's going to need a tow truck to get him off the racetrack.
Heavy damage to the right front. Let's take a look at it again.
See if we can see exactly what happened here.
The 47 is Shane Meal, it looks like, got into the 0-2. Tony Raines got into green.
Yep. And Richard Jarvis had no place to go because David Green spun the wrong way up the racetrack. Jarvis took evasive action and plowed into the wall. Look at this is Jason Keller now. Look how close he comes to all this mess. Wow. That's why you don't want to be back there in all that traffic. You want that kind of stuff behind you.
Shane Meal's car just looked like it wiggled a little bit in the front.
I think what happened was the car in front of him actually kind of bowed up a little bit. Meal had a pretty good run at him there, and it looks like Shane tried to avoid him there, turned it real hard to the left, but still got into it. See a little smoke coming out of Richard Jarvis's car there. And you see David Green there. All that Green did was he slowed down and saw it in front of him. Somebody plowed into him from the rear.
And Shane Meal makes his way to pit road. The crew goes to work on the left side.
A little bit of damage to the front end.
Mark Garrow?
Just a slight amount of damage to the left front to the David Green GMAC Chevrolet. It looks like they're going around the right side. Looks like a 4-tire stop. Green, before this situation happened, very happy with his race car. They planned no more adjustments the rest of the race, just 4 tires, and they were going to take off each time after loading up with fuel. Right now you see the crew working now on the front end of that race car, trying to pull it out away from that left front tire, and Green is down and away.
One of the things that this does is the teams are limited to the numbers of tires that they can change under caution to 3 sets. Now, they've already pitted twice under caution. We haven't even run 100 laps yet. Guys like David Green there, that really hurts him because under caution for the rest of the race, for the last 150 laps, he's only got 1 more set of tires. So even though he has a good race car, he's going to be limited somewhat to what he can do with it if we get a lot of cautions and the other leaders get to come in and change because most of the rest of them have 2 sets of tires left.
Samstown 250, Ralph Shaheen alongside Glenn Jarrett calling the action for you today, and Mark Garrow covering pit road for us. Jason Keller, who is in the middle of a points battle for this championship, right now struggling. Mark Garrow with more on the car.
The biggest problem he has now, Ralph, is he really can't run where he wants to. In the heavy traffic, he's having to use a lot more brakes. That's making the car ride up the racetrack a little bit more than he would like. And so he's struggling back there a little bit more than he'd like. But really, right now, they feel like the car's in pretty good shape if he can break free of the pack.
Well, he has been up and down, Glenn. We saw him all the way back in 17th. Now he's back up to 11th. He's been as high as in the top 5. Jason's really been bouncing back and forth as we go back to green here on lap 101.
Scott Wimmer takes him back to green with Ron Hornaday right on his back bumper. That's not something you want to see.
No.
Hornaday right back there.
Well, and now Hornaday right alongside.
Once again, the key to the restart, pulls to the inside, trying to take the lead away. And
Contact there in turn 3. Not enough to upset the balance in the car. Hornaday on the gas first, takes the lead. 3 wide is Biffle come sliding through some of the slower cars.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be long before Biffle gets back up to the front. He's in third position right now.
Sauter trying to follow suit on the bottom in the AC Delco blue number 2. Biffle inside of Kenny Wallace down the 60 car.
Kenny's at least 3 laps down.
Yeah, he's actually made one up. He's 2 laps down, and he's up to 34th. There's Sauter. And Mike McLaughlin, the MBNA America number 18.
Johnny is absolutely hemmed in behind Ashton Lewis in the 46 there. Just has nowhere to go.
Telling us earlier today he had a great race car, felt very comfortable about it, and he's trying to fight his way back up. But look at how close the racing is here on this 3/4 mile short track at Memphis.
Yeah, I think Johnny's in the wrong lane right there. Not only does he like his race car, he loves this race car. He made his second Busch Series start here last year, had a great car, had problems in the pits, and fell back to 13th at the finish. But also, the last time he was here in an ASA car, he led the most laps, won the race here. So Johnny Sauter really loves this racetrack. But he is in the wrong lane right now. So he needs to, if he can, to try to get up off the bottom. Mike McLaughlin has already moved by him. There's room now. Maybe he can get up on the outside of Ashton Lewis. Ashton not doing anything wrong. You can see Johnny pulling up on the outside of him right now. The right rear quarters have come off the 2, heading down the backstretch. I think Johnny might be able to make the pass on Ashton now, but he had to give up one position, Mike McLaughlin, before he could do it.
There's Keller in the 57, Casey Mears in the 66. Right behind him, Keller up to 11th, Mears in 12th, and Jamie McMurray of the 27 car is up to 8th. Battling with the 59 that holds down 7th right now. Stacy Compton getting used to Memphis. McMurray inside trying to pick up that spot from Compton. And he's going to pull it off as he comes off the corner. DeMarc Carroll for more on the drivers.
Not much to say, Ralph. Richard walked in under his own power. He just waved and said, I'm okay. So this is the precautionary standard checkup just to make sure all the parts and pieces are in working order before they send him home.
Well, good news there in this battle between Jamie McMurray and the Williams 27 on the inside. The Kingsford 59 is Stacy Compton on the outside. Glenn, I thought Jamie was going to pull away once he got alongside of him, but nothing doing, and Mark Green's right behind them.
Now, Stacy's racing pretty hard up on the outside. And what that does, that takes your groove away a little bit. Finally, Jamie clears him going down the backstretch.
Back to the lead battle.
And Greg Biffle really putting pressure on Scott Wimmer right now. Biffle, we're inside his car now, the Granger Ford. You see Bill Davis racing machine of Scott Wimmer there, the number 23, still running in second place, but he's getting a lot of heat from Biffle.
You hear him getting back full into the throttle, driving that car up out of the hole. Slower traffic in front of him. Looks like Grubb.
Kevin Grubb making his first start in several weeks. He was injured in a wreck at Dover back in September. He's been out of the car for about 3 weeks and finally gets back into the car, but having some problems today. Number 54 car there.
On board, that's Hank Parker Jr. in the 36. He's running in 4th. And Hank crashed at Lowe's Motor Speedway last week and sprained his left shoulder. He's running 14th in the Busch points. And he's never finished in the top 30 here, so gotta be pretty happy with the way he's running today.
Yeah, this place has not been good to him at all. And one of the things that when you're looking at the front glass there, you see how much distance those first 3 cars had put on the 4th place car of Hank Parker.
On board with Jack Sprague now. Sprague's all the way back in 28th. 1 lap down.
I remember he lost that lap, but he kept that tire down after the last restart.
Looking for the battle for 8th. Sauter is in 6th.
Johnny Sauter is taking position away there. And also you see those.
There's Rudiman in the middle of all that.
Casey Mears in 66.
15th. Casey's in 11th. The 92 car runs in 14th. That's Tim Fedewa.
good job. Had to start in the rear of the field because they had to change engines. Of course, NASCAR rules are now, if you change engines anytime at the racetrack, you've got to start in the rear of the field.
Battle for second going on, and Biffle to the inside of Wimmer. And the Granger Ford moves up another spot.
Now, the fun part ought to be when Biffle gets to Ron Hornaday. And it's not going to be very long before he gets there either. It's about 12, 15 car lengths behind Hornaday right now, but at the rate he's going, he'll make that up pretty quick.
Sonner inside of Parker. And the AC Delco blue number 2 moves past and into 4th position. Hank can just watch him set sail. New paint scheme on the GNC back car of Hank Parker.
Yeah, the GNC centers are having a grand reopening. They reorganized some things the way their stores are. So in order to, in honor of that, I guess, they a new paint scheme on Paint's car.
Here's the battle for the lead. Biffle trying to get around Hornaday. Looking to the inside of the 26. Coming up the front stretch. Is this going to be enough? Well, he's got a good run up off the corner. He's got the nose out front. Now can he complete the pass? And he does by the time they get to turn 1.
Watch Hornaday run right back up under him there, but he can't stay with him. Biffle's car is absolutely on a rail. He absolutely has a fabulous handling race car.
They had a good test here earlier, just a couple of weeks ago, in the number 60. Let's check in with Mark Garrow for more on Hornaday's car.
Well, guys, we made a lot of fun earlier today when crew chief Tom Losey has left and gone elk hunting. The team was going to do rock, paper, scissors to decide who was going to call the pit stop and then do it again as to what adjustments they were going to make. Well, things are getting serious now. Robbie Allison, who was the car chief going into the weekend, is now the de facto crew chief of this machine. Things are getting a little bit more serious down here. Right now, Ron Hornaday saying the car's a little bit tight, and then as this run goes on, the tight will go away, and then it'll get loose coming off. So they're scratching their heads just a bit right now, trying to figure out what they will do on the next pit stop for adjustments, but they do like the way the car is running overall.
Well, we got a spinner down the back straightaway and another one along the wall. There's the 54 of Grubb on the backstretch. The 07 of Reagan Smith is over in turn 1.
Two totally unrelated incidents there. I don't know what happened to Grubb going down the backstretch, but Reagan Smith had already gotten into the wall down here into turn 1. It looked like something must have gone wrong because there are skid marks that run way up out of the groove right up to the wall. He smacked it pretty good with the whole front end of that car.
NASCAR Busch Series in town for 250 laps. We're under caution again due to 2 different incidents here on the speedway. First one is this. Grubb spinning all by himself on the backstretch in the 54, and he continued on. The other one, much heavier impact. The 07, Reagan Smith into the front stretch wall. And Reagan is actually filling in for Deborah Renshaw, who is supposed to be driving this car, Glenn. Deborah, of course, involved in a terrible accident at Delos Motor Speedway last week, and Reagan, just 19 years old, getting the ride here today. Well, the leader is Greg Biffle in the number 60. He has worked his way back up to the front, and Mark Garrow, that car has been a rocket today.
It certainly has. They have made no adjustments. Randy Goss is his crew chief. Randy, we talked about just this scenario before the race, where you had to go before you made your final pit stop for fuel. You're awful close to it. Are you tempted to come in?
Well, I was tempted to come in, but it looks like it's not going to rain. Right now is with the time we would have come. If we're thinking rain's going to come, we'd like to stay out front right now and try to stay out of trouble and get our tires here for the end of the race.
Now, so far, you've made no adjustments?
Haven't made any adjustments. The thing's just been awesome. We had a real good test here earlier, and the guys, Granger team's just done an awesome job for us today.
Well, that's a word none of us want to hear after being around here this weekend and having to walk around this racetrack with a snorkel strapped to your mouth with all the rain that was coming down. But there has always been a threat of rain around the area today, but it looks like, Glenn, we're going to be able to get to the finish without seeing any raindrops.
Yeah, I don't think rain's going to be a factor right now.
Here's our Stacker 2 race fact for the day. All 3 Memphis Busch Series races have been won by a Chevy.
that could change after today's race and Rick Biffle's going. Even though Biffle didn't choose to come in that time, a bunch of guys did, including Jason Keller, also Scott Wimmer, Mike McLaughlin. Several of the cars that were running up front there in the top 10 did choose to come in.
This weekend, hold on for more drama.
The green flag is set to wave once again to get the Samstown 250 back underway.
Looks like Biffle's car picked up a little overrun, still pushing him hard coming off of 4.
Hornaday with another good run up off the corner. As well as this car is running, that crew chief's going to get sent on the hunting trips more regularly.
There we see Biffle finally got run. One got a little loose coming off of 2 there, heading down the backstretch, and Biffle was able to put a couple of car lengths of distance between them.
Hornaday running in second, started the race back in 9th. Has been right up front most of the day. Taking a couple of shots at the lead.
He's got a good race car. It's just not quite the same as Greg Biffle's. Biffle's able to keep his car down on the racetrack through the turns a little better. In fact, better than anybody here. Not only Hornaday, but better than anybody's car. But you know, that's interesting. The graphic we saw a while ago, all the races that have ever been run at this racetrack in the NASCAR Busch Series have been won by a Chevrolet. So there might be hope for Ron Hornaday yet.
Not done yet, is it? Number 19 coming inside. Tim Sauter getting around Kenny Wallace. Kenny is way deep in the field, but Tim is up to 19th.
Biffle continues to open the lead up as a leader, so we're looking at some cars back in the back here.
Well, the Sauter brothers, as we mentioned, Glenn, there's 3 of them running today. Johnny's currently in 3rd. Tim's in 5th. And Jay, who almost won this race last year, is now running back in 24th.
Yeah, Jay's got a little problem. He got the nose crunched on the number 21 Chevrolet there earlier on in the race, and so that's put him pretty far back in the field. They've been making repairs on the car, and they have managed to keep it on the lead lap, but he's certainly not up to speed.
There's the 19 at Tim Sauter, and Tim did a nice thing this week. The team donated the primary sponsorship off the car this week to the St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. In fact, one of their crew members is a former patient there. He's a long-term cancer survivor. The artwork on the car is from 2 St. Jude's patients up on the deck lid. Tim, of course, the 99 ASA champ, his best finish 7th in a Busch Series race. But he's running up in 4th right now, so see.
Good deeds do pay off, don't they? I'll tell you what, that's a great run for both Sauter, both Johnny and Tim. I've been really impressed with Tim in the number 19. Not sponsored as heavily as some of the other cars, but I'll tell you what, he gives it his all each and every week, and looks like he might have something for his brother right now.
It is a brother battle right now. Johnny in the number 2, Tim in the 19, fighting it out for 3rd position, and Johnny, with his victory at Chicagoland, actually became the first Sauter brother to win a Busch Series race.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that Jay Sauter's been racing as long as he has and has not yet won. But as we've mentioned a couple of times, he had it in the bag last year until the last lap.
66 is Casey Mears. And Casey right now is up to 5th. Johnny Sauter, Chicagoland was the site of his first victory. What a day it was back in July as Sauter brothers finally find the checkered flag in the Busch Series, getting the victory for Richard Childress Racing. The old Kevin Harvick race cars made many trips to victory lane the prior season. Sauter finding its way back there this year, carrying those rookie stripes with him, too. Pretty good season for the rookie.
And now he's giving Ron Hornaday a real fit for second place. In the last 2 laps, he's just driven right up on the bumper of Ron's car. So Johnny, a good bit quicker than Hornaday right now. I don't think he'll take too long and put Mr. Hornaday behind him there. Johnny is really good right now. And as I said earlier, he likes this racetrack, one of his favorite places to race.
We hear that a lot, Glenn. How much of a boost is that for a driver when you come to a racetrack you feel very confident in?
Ralph, it takes a lot of things right out of the equation to begin with. You don't worry about having to find the groove around the racetrack, about finding the fastest line around it. When you like a place, you're comfortable in a place, you already know what you want to feel in the car, and so you're able to tell the crew chief more about it. So, like I said, it puts you leap years ahead of your competition when you like a place. This place it reminds me a lot of, some of the guys don't like it so much. It's kind of like going to Darlington. If you like Darlington, you're going to get around there well, okay? But if you don't like it, you're going to have trouble. If you really like a place, you will normally run faster at that place.
Well, Hornaday's got 2 Sodders behind him now as Tim closes in on the backside of his brother.
Ron heard me talking about Johnny. He put the hammer down a little bit there and pulled back away from him. That kind of surprised me. I thought Johnny might have had something for him. Maybe he's cooling his tires for another run at Ron, but wasn't able to do anything with him when he got him a couple laps ago.
Second, third, and fourth. Running in line.
Right now for Scott Wimmer, they're in pretty good shape. Car is running well. They like the way it's handling. Scott very confident in the race car, and they really don't feel at this point they have to come back for fuel. So this may become a battle in trying to reel in Greg Biffle. They may simply try to take the point when Biffle has to make his pit stop and then try to hold on from there.
I'm sorry about that, Mark Garrow. I wasn't trying to make you a member of the Green family. I was looking at David there.
It could be worse. It could be worse. They're great guys.
Absolutely. Shane Meal in the 47 gets a little loose.
That's another kid that has impressed me a lot lately, Ralph, is Shane Meal. Of course, his father, Steve Meal, who works with Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, and he is a racer. His crew chief, Jerry Kennan, whom I've known for a long, long time. Jerry's been a very successful crew chief in the Busch Series. Said this kid has what it takes.
Contact there with Jamie McMurray, Glenn. Sorry to yell out and right on top of you there, but he got right up inside of Meal, and Tony Raines is going to come through as well. That's a battle back in 12th.
Oh, yeah, this car's loose in the middle of the turns.
Yeah, Stacy Compton hit him.
Hello.
You can still see the 47 sliding around.
He's got a problem. There's something wrong with the car. He absolutely can't keep the rear end under it. I mean, maybe it's just loose, but it is. It's extremely loose.
A lot of potential in that young driver.
Yes, there is. Jason Teller is the car that we're looking on board with right now. Moving up, you're going to see a little contact there, Jason. And that's not what Jason wants to see. Jason's mired back in 18th place. Still has not been able to get back to the front. He pitted under the last caution period, so he fell back in the pack again, but they still don't have the car the way he wants it. So we'll try it on the outside one more time. This is a great shot of what it looks like from inside the cockpit. You can see right there, Jason simply cannot get the car to turn in the corner. He gets up, he gets into the turn good, but once he tries to get back under throttle in the middle of the corner, the car just wants to push up the racetrack. You see the 75 car of Butch Miller under Jason right there right now, so Jason loses another position.
And Butch Miller was incredibly fast in the final practice before qualifying, and then
I talked to him.
Sixth place battle here as Wimmer gets inside and around Casey Mears to take over that position. Let's finish off about Butch Miller. He was so fast in practice, then went to qualifying, and things didn't go as well.
Well, he was the quickest in the second practice session by about 500 to the second, and I talked to Butch, and I said, can you put it on the pole? And he looked at me, and I've known Butch a long time. And he's had so much experience. He says, man, I am so nervous. I said, you're nervous? He said, I am so nervous. And so he goes out and he qualifies the car back in the middle of the pack. I saw him in the garage there this morning, and I said, yeah, you just blew it, didn't you? Whoa, we got a spinner here.
Again, Glenn, the 94, Larry Gunselman. Larry was running back in 32nd position.
Caution is out. No contact there, so should be able to get him straightened out. Let's finish off the Butch thing since Larry appears to be okay there. But this morning in the garage area, I was kidding Butch. I said, you just couldn't do it. We're going to see a replay here of Gunselman. See what happened there. Somebody had some contact with him. Oh, yeah. Shane Mill got down on the curb off the racetrack and bounced up the racetrack into Gunselman.
Shane Mill, the 2001 NASCAR Goodies Dash Series Rookie of the Year. And there's your race leader, Greg Biffle. The 38 machine of Mark Green has been slowing down. He's running around in 27th position. And he's coasting it ever so slowly down on the pit road. No problems for this car whatsoever.
He is coming into the pit, though. This should be his final pit stop.
Well, Mark Garrow, this is the stop that they've been waiting for, and it should be the last time that the crew of the Granger Ford will service this car. Here comes Greg Biffle on the pit road. Mark?
Unless there's trouble, he will not be back. That, according to crew chief Randy Goss. They're coming down pit road now slowly, and also pitting right behind him, a car still very much in contention. That, of course, Johnny Sauter in the AC Delco Chevrolet. So here's Biffle now coming into his pit, looking for his 4th win of the season. Car is absolutely perfect. They will make no adjustments. He has a little bit of damage to the left front of that race car, but obviously it hasn't affected the handling. They'll change 4 tires and put in fuel, and they'll try to do it a little bit quicker than Johnny Sauter's car, who has some damage to the driver's side door. It's caved in pretty well. There's a donut there. That crew is already back around. They've changed the tires. They're having problems on the Johnny Sauter car on the right rear. That car is now down and away. A bunch of tape has been caught underneath the Johnny Sauter left front tire, and it's now flapping in the breeze. They'll try to shake it off.
Experience more in-car camera action with NASCAR In-Car on In Demand. With NASCAR In-Car, you get 5 in-car camera channels with virtual dashboards, real-time in-car data, and live team audio. Call 1-888-SPORTS-IN, only on digital cable. Well, we heard Mark Garrow say just before we went to break that there was some tape trapped on Johnny Sauter's AC Delco number 2. And of course we have the replay. Watch this, Glenn.
You see Johnny turning the car back and forth. Whoop. Right off in. Look.
Got a little on the backside.
Stuck to the back tire.
Getting ready to go back to green with less than 100 laps to go in the Samstown 250. We are back at it at Memphis. With the pit stops completed, this puts Wimmer back out front. And we get to watch Greg Biffle fight his way back through the field again. He'll be 12th after making his final pit stop.
Red, white, and blue car, number 59 there, Stacy Compton, is running in second. And he's got a good run going right now. He's pulled right up onto the bumper of Wimmer.
Mark Garrow, what is Scott Wimmer got to do pit strategy-wise? Is he all done, or does he have to come down one more time?
Well, I'm with his crew chief, Robert Harker. Robert, will he come back, or are you good to go?
No, we're good to go. No problem at all.
Car running good?
Oh, yeah, real good. We're just cruising right now. Got a long way to go, so just keep these guys off of us. It takes a while for our car to come in, so as long as they don't get us on the restart, we'll be fine.
Well, he knows, Glenn, that mired back in the pack, already up to 10th now, is Craig Biffle, and sooner or later that 60 is going to be in the rearview mirror.
Well, he is, but what he wants to see right now is green flag racing from here to the checkered flag. If Greg Biffle's going to catch him on the racetrack under green. Don't let him catch up on the caution flag. Biffle still has a lot of traffic to contend with. He's back in 10th place right now. If Scott can keep moving, look at Stacy Compton putting the move on him right now. Stacy's a little quicker.
Yeah, no sense in worrying about Biffle when you got Compton crawling all over you right now.
That's right, and it's so good to see Stacy Compton running well here. He has had a terrible year on the short tracks. His average finish short tracks this year is 23.2. That's what this man did. That's how he got to where he is. He was a great short track racer. They've had nothing but trouble. It's good to see Stacy running well.
Compton taking the lead as they come off of turn 2.
A Chevrolet and a Pontiac up front right now. So the Chevy deal still working.
Before Stacy even got into NASCAR, he was a tremendous go-kart racer. Won 10 kart championships and more than 150 victories in some 9 years.
then Stacy, of course, went on and ran the NASCAR Crash the Truck Series for a while. Very successful there. Raced A.J. Fort's Pontiac earlier this year. The NASCAR Winston Cup Series was doing double duty. And he left that ride. He's concentrated on his Busch Series ride. Looks like it's paying off today. I'm telling you, if there's a team out there that needs a win, it is these guys. It's good to see Stacy up front right now. Let's hope he can stay there.
On board with Hank Parker Jr., who's having a good run as well today. He still sits in third with that very sore shoulder. The doctor's not so sure he was going to be ready. He said, I will be in this race car at Memphis.
Sometimes the best therapy for a race driver who's got an injury like that is to get in there and race, because it helps to get through some of that soreness. I think it took a lot of guts on Hank's part to decide that, no, I'm going to be in that race car. Nobody's going to get in that thing. But he's feeling good now. He's running third. He's gaining ground on the second place car of Scott Wimmer. So I guarantee you that shoulder is of no consequence right now.
Compton holding the line, and Wimmer seems to be content to just follow him here for right now. Here comes Biffle up through the field. He's up to 9th. You're looking off the back of Jack Sprague's car. Jack is running at 26th. He is a lap down.
Biffle is almost 4 seconds behind the leader, Stacy Compton, right now. So he can certainly make that up on the racetrack. But as I said, it's tougher to make it up under green than it is under caution.
You get a look at the speeds between Greg and the race leader. Of course, the race leader in clean racetrack. Biffle dealing with traffic.
Biffle having to work traffic there, and that does slow you down.
Craig is driving chassis JR65. Took a third at Nashville, the second race of the year, and won at Gateway. Third at the night race at Bristol last year. Had a loose wheel when he ran it here last year. Now,
he had a good race car last year here.
He sure did. And last week, he had a good race car, but a bad view.
Yeah, well, not much of a view at all. We're going to take a look at that.
Mainly drove looking out the side windows. You know, the one in the left front corner there, and the right, trying to see the wall coming up, but it was difficult. I also saw some flashes of the sunlight off the guys' back windows up further up the racetrack, and I could kind of tell where they were coming off the corner, and I tried to position my tires in the same tire tracks as theirs.
Now, Glenn, we've all driven in bad weather conditions, whether it's snow, fog, what have you, but that's pretty extreme, especially at those speeds, as you take a look at the lead battle again.
Well, you're running lap time speeds around 180 miles an hour at Charlotte, Lowe's Motor Speedway. And he had to put up with that for 40 laps. That's 60 laps. He didn't see very well. Did a tremendous job to bring the car home in 6th place.
That's how you win a championship.
That's right.
Stacy Compton just trying to win the race here today, leading the Samstown 250, and the kicks. Oh, and Foyt is around in the 14.
No caution.
Larry Foyt spins the Harris 14, and we stay green. Compton continues to lead.
Remember, his crew chief, Robert Barker, told us that it takes cars just a little bit of time to come in. And we're starting to see that right now. He's starting to put a little pressure. Scott Wimmer is back on the leader, Stacy Compton.
Biffle challenging inside the top 10, almost to, let's see, right now, he's just about to challenge for 5th, isn't he?
Yeah, that's Brian Vickers in the 40 car there. And remember, I told you a while ago, he was almost 4 seconds behind. Vickers is only 2.12 seconds behind, so he's already made up a couple seconds on the leader, Stacy Compton, while he's working traffic.
Here's that fight for 5th. Vickers in the 40. And Biffle gets to the inside of him, and that's going to go away.
Yeah, Vickers' car would not stay down on the bottom. In fact, it worked up the racetrack. He's having to run a much higher line there than what Biffle was running, so that opened the door for Greg to drive right under and take over that 5th place position.
Well, Vickers is actually doing a nice job here today. It's his first race at Memphis. In fact, he never tested here in the 40.
Look at Ron Hornaday taking position for Mike McLaughlin there. He is taking over the 7th position.
Every weekday.
Welcome back to Memphis. Let's take a look at our Napa Field summary. Scott Wimmer is your leader in the black 23. The man chasing him is the man who is actually the points leader. We've had 5 leaders today and 11 lead changes, Glenn.
Average speed of 84.583. 7 caution periods. Fortunately, we've only had 38 laps of caution. 6 cars out of the race.
Craig Biffle runs in second. He is the points leader, and he is closing that gap to Wimmer. It is less than a second now between first and second place. As far as the championship points chase goes, we said Biffle is the points leader. There is the man who is running second in the points, Jason Keller in the Albertsons 57. But the problem, Glenn, he's all the way back in 17th, 13.5 seconds behind the leaders.
Ralph, I'm really surprised at that today. We've got a battle for 4th place going on here. You see Ron Hornaday and Johnny Sauter and Stacy Compton mixing it up. But Jason Keller's car was so good in happy hour. They were so confident. This is his favorite race car. The one that he likes the most. He's already won twice with it this year. And they absolutely cannot get the thing hooked up today.
Now, mathematically, the championship could not end today, but could this be the stake that drives right through the heart of their emotional chances?
Yeah, he's got the pierce of the point in the chest right now. Yeah, if he can't get up into the top 10.
Let's check our AC Delco standings as if the race ended right now. That'll be all the way 236 points. It was 168 coming in, and as we said earlier, just 2 races ago, it was only 35.
What that means is you got to make up 59 points per race over the next 4 races. That's not going to happen.
200 points Craig Biffle would have gained in the last 3 races on Jason Keller. And with the way this race car is running, as he's reeled right into the backside of Scott Wimmer.
Ball has to be moving for Jason Keller. Falling right out of the race.
Right to the inside of him goes Biffle, and he is around and back out in front. So much for that.
Yeah. See you, Greg. So long. He's going to check out now.
After those last round of pit stops, he had fallen all the way back to, what was it, about 12th, Glenn?
12th place.
And now here he is right back out in the lead.
They did it all under green conditions on the racetrack. No help from a caution flag. Just simply drove through the field and went back to the front of the track, to the front of the pack. Scott Wimmer has a great race car. He has a huge lead over a 3-second lead over 3rd place Hank Parker, but he's just no match for Biffle.
Yeah, it's not like the rest of the cars are all that terrible here today.
No, Biffle just they hit the setup on the nose right from the start.
Well, Sauter's still trying to get up in here. Johnny Sauter in the blue AC Delco number 2. Look at Hornaday sliding off the corner.
Yeah, Hornaday's been sliding all over his racetrack all day, but he has maintained the car in the top 5 throughout most of the race. He's running 4th right now, putting some pressure on Hank Parker Jr. in the 36 car. And you see the blue car, Johnny Sauter, there sneaking into the picture.
This is 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Hornaday takes a look inside as they enter turn 3.
And I think Ron will get him off the corner on the bottom side.
Yeah, Hank washed up the racetrack. Boy, once you get off the bottom here, you go backwards in a hurry.
And Sauter dives inside to take the position away.
Yeah.
So Parker now sees 2 positions slip through his fingers. And Craig Biffle, meanwhile, just starts to click off the laps here at Memphis. Fire erupting from underneath Greg Biffle's car. We are under caution again. Believe it or not, Greg Biffle is in the wall after a spectacular run here today at Memphis. And the heat isn't going to be just underneath the car. I am sure he is going to be extremely hot under the collar, Glenn.
Oh, no doubt. He was going into turn 1. Watch this. Watch what happens. He's going to go by and put a lap on Lowell Bennett, who's several laps down. Watch him come in and watch Bennett go right up the racetrack. Boom! Comes way up the racetrack and just clobbers Greg. Into the wall he goes. Out of the lead, more than likely out of the race. That's a hard hit.
And that's the one thing, Glenn, that you can't count on. We talked about the battle for the championship. And the one thing that Greg Biffle couldn't factor into it today is an incident just like that. That puts Jason Keller right back in the hunt.
Absolutely. The inexperience of another driver. Greg waves to the fans there to let them know he's okay. Left under his own power. But, man, what a heartbreaker. I mean, there was no way anybody was going to catch him. Wow, things change in a hurry.
That's Randy Goss out there, the crew chief, trying to see if there's anything they can do. As you're inside the car right now, you can see all the smoke from the onboard camera.
Yeah, the fire that erupted. Greg was trying to start the car, and evidently it broke the fuel pump when it hit because of the fire. The fuel was running out of the car there. So Greg just shut it off and jumped out. I'm sure.
To Mark Garrow.
I'm here with Greg Biffle, who just walked away from his car.
Infield care, we're trying to fix it.
His crew chief, Randy Goss, right now instructing him he'll have to go to the infield care center in a moment. But first, Greg, unbelievable turn of events. What happened?
I really don't know. I left that lap car plenty of room, I thought, coming in the corner there. I'm not really sure what happened. I really don't know. It was a pretty hard hit. It rang my bell pretty good, but I'm all right. I don't know what happened.
How disappointed are you in the fact that you could have put a final nail perhaps in the coffin of Jason Keller's chances to win the championship today? He was struggling back in 17.
Yeah, it's pretty frustrating, but that stuff will happen. You know, that's why we call it racing.
Well, needless to say, as you see Jason Keller, who has just greatly closed the gap back up, Lowell Bennett's crew chief, Joe Shear Jr., has been called to the Busch Hauler after the race to talk about this incident.
Well, I mean,
oh, what a hit.
Yeah, it was. Like Greg says, that was a tremendously hard hit. But look how quick he was already taking the car out of gear, getting ready to try to fire it back up. But
well, this race has changed dramatically here on TNT. Greg Biffle had dominated, but now he is out. Scott Wimmer, your new leader. Under caution here today at Memphis Motorsports Park as race leader Greg Biffle, who had a 238-point lead if the race had finished just prior to this. Watch this. He takes the lead, and then this contact knocks him out. A vicious impact. Craig was able to climb out and walk down off the racetrack, but Glenn, it was 238 points if the race had finished just prior to that stop between him and Jason Keller, and now Greg is out, Keller's up to 8th, and the points chase is turned upside down again.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, Jason Keller, as we said, Mark Garrow, has closed that points gap right back up.
A remarkable turn of events for the Albertsons Ford team. You guys were all hangdog. You're sad. Things weren't going your way. Then this. Everybody seems pumped up again. What's your strategy from here on out?
We're stuck with what we got to the end. We've used up our tires. We missed it today. I mean, I hate it for the 60 car. I mean, them guys worked hard. They came out here and tested, and they had the car to beat. I didn't see what happened. I just looked up and saw him in the corner, and I hate it for them guys. We're all friends. We're in this. You know, when you're running for a championship, you want to race them guys for it. And you don't want anything to happen to them. You don't want anything to happen to you. And they had us beat today, but this Albertsons Ford bunch, they've hung in there. We'll see what we get out of it.
What's wrong with your car?
We missed through the center. These guys are killing us. Getting the front tires heated up, and then we can't turn through the center like we need to. It makes it loose up off. We've adjusted on it, but track positions killed us. Like I say, I hate that happening to Randy and all them guys.
Jason Keller's crew chief Steve Addington will now climb aboard the pit box to watch the remaining laps.
With 40 to go, Mark. And Scott Wimmer is in the lead, but Hornaday is challenging on the outside. Hornaday by a nose as they go back into turn 1. Johnny Sauter in the blue number 2 runs along in 3rd.
Now remember, Wimmer's car, the longer he runs, the better it gets. And so Hornaday was able to get him on the restart, but I don't think that he'll be able to stay up there. I think Scott Wimmer's car, after about 10 laps, is going to be too strong for him.
The 4th car in line is Kenny Wallace in the 48, and Kenny is actually 2 laps down in 25th position, so he moves high to try to allow the leaders through. Look at Kenny waving him by. Classy act. Coy Gibbs up to 5th.
guys having great runs out there. Court Gibbs in fifth, Tim Sauter in fourth, his brother Johnny in third. Got some good runs going on out there.
And the man that's leading the All-Pro points, Ruderman up to sixth position in the 87. Glenn, we hear a lot about hand signals on big super speedways, but just as active here on the short track as Kenny Wallace waves Coy Gibbs by.
Well, what he's telling Gibbs there is go by him on the inside. Kenny's car is a little bit loose up high, so he sticks the hand out the window and says, yeah, come on by, man. I'm not going to race you here. Kenny's had a handful today. And that's good to know from a driver's standpoint. You're coming up on the guy, you're like, well, which way is he going? What's he going to do? And he motions out the window, like, come by me on this side, man. So then you know that he's not going to cut down.
Now we know Wimmer's car takes a little while to warm up. How many laps do you think it'll take before he's really up to speed?
What we saw a while ago on the last restart when Hornaday got by him and drove away just a little bit was about 10 laps. So I think by about lap 220, 222 that Scott should be able to contend, if not sooner. He's already closed the gap back up onto the rear deck.
Wimmer really coming on strong as they come off of turn 4.
This is where a driver has to be very, very patient. You know you got a good race car. Don't abuse it. Take your time. You know that when the tires come in, you're going to be quicker. Don't do anything foolish right now.
And you can see Hornaday pushing wide off of the corner. Here comes Wimmer. He's got it.
Very careful not to get the car out of shape, Ralph. He hasn't spun the rear tires. He's getting a good bite up off the turn, and so he's just using the throttle. We've got a car in trouble.
Gunselman. And Larry has had trouble all day today in the 94, and will that bring out a caution?
He has gotten into the wall, the right side of the car. It's very flat. It's been pancaked. Hopefully he can make it back to pit road before the car comes to a stop.
I don't know if he's going to make it, Glenn. Let's take a look at the replay.
Coming off of turn 4, boom. Wow, he was up in no man's land there. Very high up on the racetrack.
He's come to a stop. That'll bring out the yellow.
Okay, ready?
We're here at Memphis Motorsports Park where the points chase of the NASCAR Busch Series is taking a big change. It was 168 points coming in today between Greg Biffle and Jason Keller. Biffle involved in a wreck after absolutely dominating today's race, and now he sees that points gap dwindling.
It's a 137-point change. What we saw earlier on, the last time we saw that graphic, Keller was mired way back in the field. If it had finished then, he was going to be 238 points behind, 236.
No, 238, you were right.
238. And now what's happened is he's 101 points, so huge change. Jason's going to gain possibly 58, 59 points, or 68 points today, or 67 points today, maybe even more, because as the laps go on, some of those cars that are behind Greg Biffle now may go on and catch up to the number of laps that he ran, put him even further down.
Yeah, they've actually got Biffle listed off the track in 34th position, Jason in 9th. We're on lap 222 of 250 scheduled. Yeah, we can see, well, Gunselman's out now. Maybe the 5th, well, there might be 1 or 2 cars, Glenn. They're going to try everything they can to get the 60 back out to at least see if they can make a lap or 2.
The only one that could do it is the 25 car, and he was loading up a while ago, Bobby Hamilton Jr., so they have loaded his car. So the rest of the cars are too many laps behind as we look at the score. We see the scoring now. So looks like Biffle will finish no worse than 34th.
The question now is, where does Jason finish? And his car hasn't been exactly perfect all day today. He's inside the top 10, but that car doesn't get any better. He could slip back out.
He lost one spot in that those few laps that we ran under green. He restarted in 8th. He fell back to 9th, so it's still not working the way he wants it to. But the fact remains he's going to come out of here a lot closer than the way he came in.
And we're getting set to go back to green one more time here today in Memphis. Green flag.
And now we'll watch Ron Hornaday make one more last gap charge at Scott Rimmel. Remember, it takes Scott's car just a few laps to really get going.
Look at that. I mean, Hornaday right to the inside.
He's going to sneak down under and go into the turn. You can see him up there. There he is, right down on the bottom.
He gets a drive, pushes Wimmer up a little bit off the proper groove.
Well, what Scott has to do here is to remember that, hey, let him go now if I have to. In 5 or 6 laps, my car's going to be better. But Scott doesn't want to give that lead up.
No, they're going to bang their way down the backstretch.
He's got Ron kind of pinned down to the bottom of the racetrack right now. Ron needs to use the whole racetrack coming off the corner. So if Scott can stay there, his tires might come in enough to keep him from losing that position.
You can see Hornaday really pushing up off of 3 and 4.
That time Hornaday backed off to get into 1 just a little bit. Scott drove on down in, got clearly back out ahead of him now.
Sauter runs in 3rd in the number 2.
Hornaday better watch his rearview mirror. He's going to have his hands full with Johnny Sauter here in just a moment. Wimmer starting to pull away just a little bit right now, which is what we've seen throughout the last 100 laps of this race. After 4 or 5 laps, his car, the tires come in, and he drives away from the field.
We do want to let you know that Larry Gunselman was able to unbuckle and crawl out of number 94, which was involved in an incident bringing out our last caution. So Larry seems to be okay.
Just as an update, Jason Keller has dropped 1 more position. Stacy Compton passed him, moved into 9th. Jason is now 10th.
Make that 11th. He lost another one.
Wow.
That's the kind of thing that Biffle now is going to be keeping an eye on. Looking for the fight for 5th. Here comes McMurray. There's Stacy Compton on the backside of Jack Sprague. Sprague is deep in the field, a lap down in 21st, and Compton trying to get around him, but Stacy runs in 7th. He's trying to catch Jamie McMurray.
Battle for 6th there, Shane Meal.
And Jason Keller on the outside.
Whoa, we got trouble right in front of Keller. Rudiman. Oh, he gets T-boned.
Lots of cars involved in this one. Mike McLaughlin is one of them. The 75 is Butch Miller. Looks like Ashton Lewis is in there. Yes, he is right there, the 46. A little bit of fire inside the right front. There is Mike McLaughlin trying to get out of that very, very wet infield. All that rain over the weekend. The wheel going about 180 miles an hour. The car about 1.
Yeah, he made it.
There's Coy Gibbs, who is having a great run today. And now the 20 car is torn up.
And what all this is doing is moving Jason Keller up in the pack. He's all the way up to 7th right now.
Look at the left front on Coy Gibbs' car. There's Keller's on board. His car seems to be just fine. As Gibbs nurses it onto pit road. So just when it looks like this race is going to settle down, every time we get a big incident like this one. Looked like David got turned.
Looked like Jamie McMurray might have been right behind him, and they got together coming off of 4, and the cars were all bunched up. And yeah, that's who it is.
No, it's the 36,
36
Hank Parker.
Hank Parker. Sorry, Jamie. Oh, ooh, Hank booted him pretty good. Now watch Mike McLaughlin gets hit when he slowed down, spins off through the grass. Rudiman up the racetrack, gets clobbered.
That was Butch Miller that hit him.
And then Butch gets hit.
And now we're being told that the number 20 of Coy Gibbs is going to be held for 2 laps for rough driving by NASCAR. But I don't see Coy in this group.
Well,
here.
I think what Coy did was that he may have gone and repaid the debt.
Yeah, it could very well be.
After all this happened. Wow.
That's Ashton Lewis's number 46. Fluid's pouring out of the bottom of that. That's Gibbs' car there.
These guys are not happy. Look at this.
They're done. Whether the NASCAR officials hold him or not. Well, Scott Wimmer and Ron Hornaday and Johnny Sauter sit at the front, and Tim Sauter is in 4th. Drivers have won here at Memphis in the past. last of the Busch Series. Kevin Harvick, Jeff Green, and Randy LaJoie. Scott Wimmer trying to become the 4th different driver to claim the checkered flag here today. We're back to green.
Well, Hornaday put the bumper to him right at the start-finish line as they took the green flag. Scott's car just didn't come up to speed as quick as Ron did. Jamie McMurray gets up out of the groove there, losing the position to stay with confidence.
Well, and he shoved Sauter out of the way as he went by.
Got some damage on Johnny Sauter, the number 2 there on the left side of his car. He's gotten into something, but somebody got into him.
There's Keller is up into this now, Glenn. He's up to 7.
Well, he's actually just moved up to 6th, Ralph. He's right behind his car. You see Tim Sauter in the 19 there. Jason Keller's trying to get over him.
That's Parker trying to get inside of him as well in the 36.
Jason just can't hold him off.
That's 6th, 7th, 8th position going on there.
The 12 car you saw up high there was Kerry Earnhardt trying to take position. He got way up high.
Johnny Sauter trying to get inside of Ron Hornaday for 2nd, down into turn.
Whoa, Johnny.
Hang on, Johnny. Around he goes.
Man.
Boy, he ran it in there deep.
Yeah,
no caution. Yeah. Yes, caution is now out as Sauter continues away.
It'll be 5 to go when they take the caution flag. Man, that's too bad. That's going to cost him a top 5 finish.
And you can see all the damage to the left side of that car.
Could be that there's something that was damaged in the car that made the car turn around like that.
Let's take a look at this replay. Boy, Glenn, he really drove it deep into 1.
Yeah, he did. He's got a good line there. Look at this. Good hard run. Nah, he just got to turn too hard.
Did I see Hornaday pointing out the side of the car there?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Let's see if we can take a look at it again. Now, watch the driver's side window of Ron Hornaday's 26 when we take another look at this replay, just as they're going into turn number 1. Right there. See him?
Well,
right there.
Yeah, he's motioning to Sauter to stay up to go by on the inside, I guess. Ron's got a problem of some sort because he had lost a lot of ground to Scott Wimmer.
And he is way up on the outside, too.
Yeah.
He was giving Johnny plenty of room.
Yeah, I think that's what he was doing, was just telling him to go by on the inside. Johnny just couldn't do it.
So do we think that maybe Johnny's car, due to the damage, couldn't handle it, or Johnny was just almost saw the gap and just really charged in there and just went in too deep?
Well, I think it might be a combination of both. It's hard to speculate that there was something wrong with the car. They're going to change right side tires right now. They're at the back of the pack anyway. But he did have some damage on the left side of the car, and he did drive it awfully hard down in the turn, and really pretty flat down there at the bottom of this racetrack. It looks like he just lost the bite in the car, and the back end turned around.
And he certainly wasn't expecting Hornaday to wave him by in a battle for position this close to the finish.
No.
Let's watch some Hank Parker's camera now, the driver, the number 36. In 5th position right now.
And also what this did was behind that, very close behind that, was Jason Keller running for the championship. He got way out of the gas and lost 3 spots. He had gotten up to 7th, and now he's all the way back to 10th.
Clay Dale's number 09 is done. And Glenn, how about Jamie McMurray in the 27? Wins his first Cup race last week in Charlotte. Comes here, has to take a provisional, starts deep in the field, and he's up to 3rd.
Started 37th, moved all the way up to 3rd now. He's had some help, though, with some of the problems with the other cars, but Jamie's kept his nose clean pretty much all day. He's run a good, solid, clean race, and it paid off for him. He's up in 3rd position. And if Hornaday has a problem, then he's going to get all the way to 2nd.
Exactly. And we're set to go back to green one more time.
Single file restart because we're under 10 laps to go.
Green flag. McMurray trying to get around Hornaday. Boy, he's trying to get just inside of him. Here comes Jamie McMurray down the backstretch. That'll help Wimmer. Contact as they go through 3 and 4. McMurray gets into 2nd. Compton tries to come with him. He'll go to 2nd. Meanwhile, Wimmer is pulling away.
Yeah, white flags out for Scott Wimmer. this is going to be it. He's got a 6 or 8 car in the lead.
Scott Wimmer down the back straightaway as a battle for second rages on. It'll be his second career NASCAR Busch Series victory, his second win in 2002. Scott Wimmer wins the Samstown 250 in Memphis. Stacy Compton hangs on for second as the crew celebrates in the Wimmer pit. His first victory on a true short track, the other one coming at Dover back in September.
We talked earlier in the broadcast, Ralph, about how good that he had been on the short tracks. He had the best average finish coming into this race, going out of this race. Scott Wimmer will have the best average finish on short tracks in the NASCAR Busch Series this year.
And how about Ron Hornaday, the Dr. Pepper 26, led this race for many laps, running in the top 3 most of the afternoon. He'll end up 7th as the car went away at the very end. Jason Keller, he will come home in 10th place, Clint.
Yeah, he had a real opportunity, I thought, there at the end to get up to 5th, but still, he did what he had to do. Once Biffle had his problems, Jason kept his car out of trouble and came home with a top 10 finish, cut the points lead by down to about 100 points now.
Ron Hornaday sits inside of his car unbuckling as Scott Wimmer celebrates on the front straightaway his second career Busch Series victory. And the crew is all around him. Greg Biffle, by the way, finished 34th today. There's Scott. The helmet is off. And that last restart, he didn't have to wait for the car to come back around. Glenn, he was able to just get it out front while that battle for second raged on.
Yeah, with Hornaday having his problem, whatever it was, Scott was able just to drive away there. And it's fortunate for him that Ron was having a problem. There we see Ron Hornaday, because he had been able to get under him almost on every restart prior to that. But
to Mark Garrow in victory lane.
Scott Wimmer standing on top of that Bill Davis trucking machine, and we're getting sprayed with the Budweiser and Gatorade shower. Scott, big smile. I got to tell you, on that burnout, you came about 1 inch from smashing this car after the race was over.
Yeah, this is one of our best cars. This is our short track car, and proud of Bill Davis. You know, no sponsor, and we're winning races. And Ron Hornaday, what a race car driver. Racing me hard, racing me clean. That was a lot of fun. Just real proud to be here.
Talk about the battle with Ron Hornaday. You guys were back and forth a number of times.
Yeah, he's just a king on restarts, and I got some stuff to learn yet. He's awful good on them, but we had that last one. That's when it counted, and got ourselves another win.
Near miss at Bristol. Now you put 2 victories up on the column.
Yeah, you know, Brad Thrower gives us great engines all year long. We just had a little bad streak of luck there, but we're a great race team. Brad Thrower's got great engines. Bill Davis, great car owner. We're gonna be good for the rest of the year here.
You know what, Scott? You're a great race driver too. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Back up to Ralph Shaheen and Glenn Jarrett.
All right, Mark. Congratulations, Scott Wimmer, on his second career victory, his second win in 2002, and his first on a short track. And it's actually his second win in the last 4 races too, Glenn.
yeah, he's on a hot streak. And it's the first time in the history of Memphis Motorsports Park for the NASCAR Busch Series that anything other than the Chevrolet won. He's driving a Pontiac.
We'll be right back for more from Memphis after this. Back to Memphis Motorsports Park, where Scott Wimmer has claimed his second career Busch Series victory and his second of 2002. Well, the points chase is tightened up once again. Here's Mark Garrow with Jason Keller.
Well, just when we were ready to bury Jason Keller's chances for the Busch Series championship, the problems for Greg Biffle, 105 points out now. Man, you guys were done. You were toast until that happened.
Well, I hate it for Greg. He had a dominant race car. I didn't see him all day long. He was so far up front. And the averages forward, we were just off today. I would, on Friday when we practiced here, our last practice, I thought we were going to be great today. And we just really missed it. You know, I want to outrun the 60 car, but I want to outrun him head to head. I kind of feel bad, you know, taking points away today. But, you know, we'll take them any way we can. But we just really missed it and had a long, hard day. And good Lord bless us with a top 10. We'll take that. But we got to get better these last 4 if we got a chance.
The lap car took you out at Bristol the same way. So Greg has seen it go your way, the negative side as well. Can you catch him?
Well,
105 points down.
We got to run better. You know, we really thought we were coming in here really good. We tested Atlanta for next week. We tested well there. So, yeah, I mean, anything can happen, but we got to start winning some races.
Let's take a look at the Busch Series point standings. After 30 of the 34 races completed this season, Greg Biffle continues to lead, but the gap is closed down with Jason Keller finishing 10th today. He's closed that gap back now to 105 points. Scott Wimmer with the win sits in third, 357 points back. The battle will be between Biffle and Keller to the finish of the year. And there are the unofficial results. Wimmer the winner, Compton, McMurray, Parker, Kerry Earnhardt. We didn't talk much about him, Glenn, but he just sneaks right up there at the end.
Good fifth place finish, and 2 Shotters also in the top 10.
Keller finishing in 10th position. Coming up next, world's most dramatic police chases. Don't forget, Saturday at noon Eastern on TNT, it's happy hour from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Then at 1 Eastern, it's the Aaron's 312. Then next Sunday at noon Eastern on NBC, it's the big boys' turn at the Napa 500. So for Glenn Jarrett and Mark Garrow, this is Ralph Shaheen saying so long from Memphis Motorsports Park in Memphis, Tennessee, where Scott Wimmer has won the Samstown 250.